The following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions expressed by any one speaker does not explicitly or necessarily reflect or represent those of Mark Radulich or W2M Network. Please listen with caution, or don't listen at all.
Hooray for Hollywood, where stars are living large, in mansions with their servants and their credit cards in charge, with fame that's fleeting, but the egos never change, where everyone's a genius, except the ones who really arrange. Hooray for Hollywood, where the scandals always sell, where every whispered secret is a new tabloid's tell. Oh, how we adore the endless red carpet galore. Hooray for Hollywood, where less is always more.
And now, Pongo's review of Rocky 5000. That's how I feel about this fucking franchise. That should have been done at 2. But here we are, 5 movies later. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you are listening to a Rad Legend Broadcasting premiere podcast, Damn You Hollywood. And here's Smokey the Bear. Smokey?
Appreciate the introduction from Peking Duck Batman over there.
I wanted it to be more Asian. But I didn't. But it was late. I didn't want to push Justin any further.
Look, it's the Darkwing Duck reboot that we all know we secretly want.
I can't wait for that to get released in a week or so.
Peking Darkwing Duck.
So, in case Alexis is here with us, hello, darling.
Like I said before we started, I brought Girl Scout cookies. I need sugar to get through this.
I have a question.
It'll help.
Why can't you just pick one color? What's with like the fucking like multicolor hair? Like you just can't you can't this week we're doing purple and this week we're doing blue and this week we're doing chartreuse and this week we're doing.
Well, for the record, I've had this for months now. It's just really faded. But I've always done a ton of colors.
I insist you pick a color.
No,
look, I'm tired of your non-binary hair. God damn it!
So, Mark, are you going to start dyeing your beard then?
I've never. Whoa! With the. I know I'm picking at your girlfriend and you can't take it, but let us do our thing here. Don't thank him. Jesus Christ! You take your beating like a man and like it. You don't always do multicolored hair. You usually pick a tone and then you stick with it for a while. And
I always
you go back. This is too crazy for me.
Hair. I've always done multicolored hair. Always have. If you pay attention to my Facebook profile pics, you would have noticed.
That's a lot to ask of me. Pay attention to things you do? No. I haven't done it for 15 years. I'm not starting now.
We'll take a look at the back. It's got even more colors. See?
Sorry, your roots are showing all kinds of stuff going on there.
Yes, I am well aware. I need to get in and see. I'm actually seeing my stylist on Thursday because I am desperate for a haircut. I cannot do anything with this length.
Can I be like Richard Pryor from The Wiz and just pick your next color?
What do you have in mind?
Easy. First of all, I'm just glad you let me get away with the Richard Pryor thing. I mean, if we're going strictly by The Wiz, at one point he's like, I prefer purple.
It's got to be flame colored, right?
Dick. I mean, at one point he's like, everything in Oz has to be purple. I think a nice deep purple, not unlike the band.
Well, see, I usually tend to go with more green and blue because they last the longest. Then I think I look really good with it. Makes my skin tone work well.
Right, but I'm being an asshole here, so you need to appease me.
I'm sorry, when are you going to start paying me for this?
And she strikes back with an oldie but a fuck you. All right.
Okay. As the newly appointed head of HR, let's all kind of just take a second here.
Seriously, is this all retaliation for tempting you with Exploramores?
No, it's just me fucking with you because I feel like it. Look, every fifth of these, I'm not in a bad mood. So, here we are. It's me being silly tonight. Like a jive turkey. Speaking of jive turkeys, what are we talking about tonight, Robert?
Well, Richard Pryor's flaming hair was not on my bingo card, but since we've marked that one off.
Well, tell him to have a coconut smile and shut
better
the fuck
that
up.
than talking about Richard Pryor with his pink cape talking about Superman.
Ugh, shut up.
That's the best thing in that movie. He can't ski. The second best thing. The best thing is the Philly Flash.
You think you beat me, haven't you? The Philly Flash!
That is... Superman 3 is a gem. It is a flawed, unrefined, imperfect film, but good grief, is it just so soul cleansing.
Wonderful, wonderful movie.
Yeah, oh my God, the scene of the sister getting pulled into the computer, that gave me nightmares for the longest time. That genuinely freaked me out as a kid.
That computer is supposed to be Brainiac.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
The production history of the Superman movies is a fun story to get through. Speaking of fun
I was going to say, you try talking about Superman 4, we're never getting out of here.
Speaking of long stories, Robert, what are we talking about tonight?
Using the segue of things that are lengthy. We're in the Scream franchise again. Don't make it weird, Mark. We're in the Scream franchise for the 7th entry.
Yes, Scream 7 is the 7th installment, in case you didn't know what the 7 meant, in the long-running slasher franchise and a direct sequel to Scream 6. And if you don't know that, the movie will remind you several times. Directed by Hollywood's...
Because they're all bitter that it failed.
Directed by Hollywood's greatest writing monster, Kevin Williamson.
That is not true.
Who co-wrote the screenplay with Guy Busick.
I'm pretty sure Robert says that still belongs to James Gunn.
From a story by Busick and James Vanderbilt, the film sees Neve Campbell return as Sidney Prescott alongside Jasmin Savoy Brown, Mason Gooding, David Arquette, Matthew Lillard, my daughter's favorite actor, and Courteney Cox in all of her plastic surgery. New cast members include Isabel May, Anna Camp, Mckenna Grace, Joel McHale. The story centers on a new Ghostface killer, because they keep killing them, targeting Sidney's daughter. Originally set to be directed by Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillett's successor, Christopher Landon, the film underwent major creative changes following the departures of Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega. Williamson ultimately stepped in as director. Filming ran from January to March of 2025, released February 26 by Paramount Pictures. The film drew negative reviews, which we'll talk about, but delivered the franchise's biggest opening weekend, much to my son's chagrin. So, I feel like we've talked about these Scream movies ad nauseum. I guess the only question is, to kind of kick this off before we get to the plot synopsis. Obviously, they changed direction from the new cast members of Marissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega for a variety of reasons.
Well, I mean, Jenna Ortega is a big star now, and Melissa Barrera decided she couldn't keep her mouth shut.
Barrera does have a propensity for saying the wrong things, but Jenna Ortega's star is also artificially propped up. If she was as big a deal as everyone likes to think she is, the last Scream movie would have done better numbers.
So do you think they should have stuck with that cast if they were going to keep doing this? Or, you know, this cowardly return to form was exactly what the doctor ordered? Or do you think they just should have ended this fucking franchise? I'll give you 3 hints as to what my vote was, and the first 2 don't count. Robert?
Likewise.
My general preference would be to let this thing alone.
Mm-hmm.
My defense of this movie, to the extent that I'm going to defend it, because I didn't hate this. Trying to tackle nostalgia bait in the guise of Scream is actually not the world's worst overarching idea. I don't think it's well executed, but I don't think it's a bad premise.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I've offended the one Jenna Ortega stan that found the stream. I will never sleep at night again.
Don't feed the trolls. Did you saw some of last night's show, right, where we had a couple of dicks in the comments?
No, I only came in at the end when you guys were doing the music bit.
Peking Duck Batman. Yeah. So
when you created Swunk.
So
it's a fusion of swing and funk.
We've officially crossed the Rubicon where people now are finding our show during as they're scrolling through shorts and are trying to distract us by being shitty people. So,
okay, Andrew Graham, bite your tongue.
Anyway, if we could focus on the discussion we were having and do what we do best and ignore the comments.
Andrew, I'm gonna I'm going to give you as much grace.
Before you continue that sentence, do you realize this is now the second person that's asked me about if we're reviewing Scary Movie? And the answer is no. We're doing, what is it, Deliverance Day? Disassociation Day? The fucking Spielberg movie.
Yeah, it's like, let's see here. Wayne's brother Spielberg. Gee,
I was never going to cover the Scary Movie. I was never going to review the Scary Movie. Scary Movie franchise is not worth reviewing. Not as a franchise, not as on trial, nothing.
Andrew, I'm going to say this with the assumption that you're still in mourning. No.
Insult the Canadians.
Absolutely not. If you asked me to watch Scary Movie 6 or get shot in the hip, I will take the bullet. There is absolutely no way. I watched the first Scary Movie and I hated it so much, it's almost impossible to put into words.
I may have seen one of those, and I don't think I've ever watched the rest.
I saw the first one. Yeah, and then I saw what happened to the Scary Movie franchise when Friedberg and Seltzerberg, as they're called, decided to go off on their own. And dear God, it's like woe to anyone who had to sit through those movies.
So we're all in agreement. They should have let this die at 4, right? Like they attempted to reboot it with a new cast. And I don't remember. Did they have the old cast come in for 5 just to kind of do a handoff?
Sort of, yeah. Sydney's in 5. She's not in 6.
Right. No, I know New York. I know New York has none of the original cast.
It's got Courteney Cox,
and that's where they killed off Dewey. So, yeah.
Did they kill him in 5?
Yeah,
no, 6.
Okay, your memory of this is. I'm going to tell you. So
no, it was 5 because 5's the one with Jack Quaid's kid.
So I got
with
really
Randy,
sick
not Randy.
After the movie. I was really sick around the time of that movie. I thought I had cancer again, and I watched 6 by myself in the theater. And then when the night was over, I had to like crawl to my car because my lungs were so full of fluid, and I thought I was going to die in the parking lot. So my memory of that movie and our review of it, I barely remember any of it. I know it's in New York. I know it mostly focuses on the new cast members. I couldn't remember who else from the old cast was in it, and you guys would have a better memory of that than I would.
Now, Courteney Cox shows up for 6.
She's been in all except 4, I think.
Yeah, she I think is the only. Well, they bring the same 2 idiots that they drag into this one as her toadies into 6.
Oh, they're returning cast members? I thought they were new. That's how little of 6 I remember.
And that's how little of impression they leave in this one.
What was that?
They also show up in 5.
Okay. Oh, yeah. So they did retain some of the new cast then.
Yeah, a little bit. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure Dewey dies in 5.
Maybe. I could have sworn it was 6, but maybe. But
hey, someone could just look this up and we could stop like fucking hemming and hawing about it.
Because 6 doesn't include him. And
the one time Alexis doesn't fucking look something up for me.
I saw him going for the phone. I figured he had me beat.
No, we were talking.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think this series peaked with the second one. The third and the fourth are ass. I remember the 5th one. I think I vaguely remember being in that review and saying that at least this one, got violent again, and that being all like the good I had to say about it. I couldn't remember what I said about 6 if you fucking paid me. What do you remember of your thoughts of 6?
Me or Robert?
You, Alexis.
Yeah, there's no way he's in 6 because Gail gets mocked about it, but he dies in 5 because, again, like Jack Quaid is the one that they meet, and Dewey's like, "Yeah, it's you," and then we play around with it's not him, and then it turns out to be him at the end. He's like, "Yeah, Dewey got it in 1 right before we gutted him." Like it's
okay.
I'll say the only thing I remember about 6 was is that there were 2 legit scary scenes, and only 2. One is with you have the targets trying to get across from one apartment building to another, so they put the ladder on the balconies and climb over that. and that was a really tense scene. And the other one is when you have Melissa and Jenna's characters in the bodega, and Ghostface kills the bodega owner and grabs his shotgun, and you have the girls trying to get out without being seen, and they're like trying to get on, but there's spilled food all over the floor, and they're trying not to step on the chips and make any noise. Because I remember thinking, and I think we talked about this, I said the problem with Ghostface is that his kills are incredibly one note. Here's knife, stabby, stabby, move on to the next one. When you actually get some variety in the kills and in the violence, like again with the ladder and the shotgun, it gets exciting again because we're getting something different. So
6 I didn't care for almost at all. I agree with Lex. Like there's 2 decent sequences. That's kind of it. It had
God, sorry.
It had the weird decision to have 3 killers at the end. One of the killers came out of nowhere as, oh wait, you were vaguely in this other.
Oh God, that's the one with the asinine explanation that's only topped by this asinine explanation, where it's like a whole like ritual thing that they do.
No, it was revenge. It was Jack Quaid's family going out.
It ended in the theater, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like the giant ghost face shrine.
Yeah, that's what I was. This is already gonna annoy me. That's what I was talking about. Like they had this big production at the end, and it was awful, as I recall. Just so we can fucking get on with this, it was a good faith effort to reboot this with Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega, but obviously people, they can't get past. It has to be Neve Campbell, and so here we are. But that just makes me think like, okay, then be done with this. Like if the audience won't accept this franchise without Neve Campbell and Courteney Cox and the ghost of fucking Dewey, then stop doing them. You know what I mean, Robert?
I do, and I largely agree with you again. I think given more time, the basic idea that we have going on in this movie, which is kind of a discussion around nostalgia, is if there was going to be another entry into this, given where we are in the culture.
There is. They've already announced that they're going to start shooting it, which made me really sad.
With how much money it made, it's like, doesn't matter how bad the rating or the reviews are. It rakes in that much money, they're already greenlighting it.
Well, I think there was something to be said about our nostalgia for past franchises. And with a little bit more time, you could have gotten a decent entry out of it into a franchise that's built around meta commentary. Like that would have worked, but you had a decent idea that you didn't have time to fully develop. So we get it kind of wishy-washy, and now we're just going to wind up doing something akin to this again because the state of media landscape is just terrible.
Yeah, last thing, and then just go into the plot synopsis. There's a lot about this movie that I liked because of the meta commentary, which is what the Scream movies are, and I laughed at a lot of this because of that reason. But I feel like you've done it now. You've done that, and if every couple of every 5-6 years you feel the need to drag this out just so you can make fun of the horror industry and common cultural tropes, there's got to be a better way to do it than with than with a slasher movie. Or this particular slasher movie. Like this, I feel like has been beaten to death.
You'd think so, and yet for some reason we've never found a better one.
Yeah, really.
Not to mention, and we'll get to this, but probably the biggest problem is that yes, this has meta commentary, but it amounts to nothing. The meta commentary has nothing on who our actual killers are. At least with the meta commentary, you could see where it could have built up. This one pulled a right-hand sharp turn so fast that we all fell out of the fucking car.
Well,
going,
that's
wait,
the hilarious thing about it is that it's actually a pretty good movie, and the commentary is pretty sharp. And the worst part about it is the reveal. But we're getting ahead of ourselves.
I guarantee you, the original script that was churned out of this had a different killer. It was
supposed to be Melissa Barrera. No, seriously, the plan was Melissa Barrera was going to be the killer, but then she decided to start talking about Israel and Gaza. And what's that infamous line, Mark? Don't fuck with the money.
Yes. All right. Speaking of don't fuck with the money, hit it, Robert.
All right. So this one opens with a pretty classic kill at the old Mocker house, which has been turned into a sort of like bed and breakfast experience.
It's an Airbnb.
There's probably a whole name for the submarket of experiential tourism. Where a guy takes his girlfriend and he's a big fan of the Stab franchise and she's kind of just along for the ride, and then a real Ghostface killer shows up and violently murders them and burns the place to the ground because the past should die. Kill it if you have to. And he then heads off to where Neve Campbell, our beloved Sidney, is now hanging out. She's got a daughter who's of course got a slightly creepy boyfriend who comes in through the window like you do. And she's married to Joel McHale, who, bless him.
I'm unable to take Joel McHale seriously in any. He has played too many snide, sarcastic characters. It's like, sorry, you watch that man in Community and Ted and Animal Control. It's like, no, I don't care how seriously you're taking this. I can't see past your arching eyebrows.
So, yeah, they're married. They have a few kids. A couple of them are with his parents, so we don't have to worry about dealing with small children on set or in our narrative. Grandparents, the best thing in the world. I saw that, Mark. But the killer calls Sidney to taunt her, and she's kind of used to dealing with these idiots at this point. And he says, "No, I'm not hiding," and does a face call to reveal the scarred, psychotic visage of Matthew Lillard, who then says, I'm coming to kill your family and make everything worse. And there's an attack, and Sidney's not quite getting along with her daughter because the daughter, Tatum, is at the age where it's like, I'd like to see my parents as people instead of these monolithic figures. And Neve Campbell's like, look, do you have any idea how many times I've been shot, stabbed, and chased around places? I don't feel like reliving this. You don't really want to know about it. And the teenager's like, but I'm a teenager. Yes, I do. So that's kind of their central tension. And there's a Ghostface killer that shows up and gets run over pretty quickly by Courteney Cox. And it's revealed to be
some guy,
a random dude who I actually mistook for Matthew Lillard when we got a passing glance at him in the coffee shop. Like,
I did too.
You look kind of like Matthew Lillard.
Yeah, it did. I thought this. In fact, when they pulled off the mask and she said, I saw this guy in the coffee shop, I actually said, that was the same guy?
Yeah, it does not look like the same guy at all.
No, it doesn't.
But so we have the one killer, but there's never more. There's never just one Ghostface unless it's Scream 3. And we don't talk about Scream 3.
This movie tries to talk about Scream 3.
And we don't talk about Scream 4, really, is what we don't talk about.
No kidding.
So they start investigating, and we're trying to figure out what's going on. And Courteney Cox brought 2 tag-alongs from the previous couple of movies who were related to Randy because this franchise can't let go of Seth Green for whatever reason. Jimmy Kennedy, not Seth Green. They're the same person. I've never seen them in the same place at the same time.
In the ass 90s spiked hair. So
we're not quite sure who to trust. So is it the boyfriend? Is it the creepy guy next door? Is it the best friend? There's an attack at a stage production of Peter Pan because subtlety.
Was it Peter? I don't remember Tinkerbell having any songs.
I don't know. I'd assume.
Who gives a fuck? Move forward.
Where we meet the drama teacher who we're supposed to think is potentially a suspect. And Neve Campbell and Courteney Cox go to a mental institution where they're told that, oh yeah, we recognize Matthew Lillard. He used to be here. So now we start thinking, hey, maybe it could be him and not an AI deepfake because buzzword. And there's, again, a little bit of like, well, we're not quite sure who it is. Ghostface attacks a bar that everyone's at after they all go out there. Kills most of them, injures a couple of people. And chases Tatum through the empty streets because everyone else is observing curfew. A couple of Ghostface killers wind up abducting Tatum. They call Sidney, like, yeah, come home, and we're going to play the hits. So it's then revealed who our killers are when they get there. Oh, Joel McHale gets stabbed repeatedly at some point, but survives for multiple hours without medical attention, despite being stabbed, like, here in the chest. And we get our reveal of the killers. It's one of the orderlies from the mental hospital and the crazy neighbor who was inspired by Sidney's story of overcoming the toxic patriarchy or some shit. And there's a big fight at the end. The killers are killed with many gunshots to the head, because that's how you make sure. And we're getting, I don't know where we're going to go with another one of these, but we're gearing up for another one as Sidney and Tatum sort of start connecting the way you do as parent and teenager. Mark is just ruining the day. He has to have this discussion on the front steps of his house. Like, listen. So when I was a teenager writing porn, or writing ad copy for porno out in Los Angeles, and sort of learning to be a wrestler, allegedly. That's one of the carrots they dangled in front of me at the XFW. Before I moved back east.
XPW, get the story right.
Did I say XPW? I apologize if I misspoke. Mark is just going to have to go through that dark chapter of his life with his children at some point, and poor Lily is going to be more traumatized by the answer than the question.
All right, Alexis, go ahead. Now you can talk about the movie. Take your fucking meds before you come on the show. What do you want from me? I am so tired of telling women to take meds, by the way. Keep going.
You chose the wrong profession and hobby.
I'm well aware. I've made a lot of bad decisions in my life.
We all have, and that's why we're here. So like I said before, this movie tries to bank so hard on nostalgia, and it ends up amounting to absolutely nothing. Every little hint about it is a giant red herring, and it gets so annoying. A lot of scenes played out because I felt like the director and writer was saying, see, we know that you know the tropes. So we're purposely going to do it and then show you that you're wrong about the tropes. For example, you have batshit crazy neighbor's creepy son who was obsessed with true crime. And you might note that, why aren't you using their names? Because none of them leave enough of a lasting impression to know their names, except for Sidney and Tatum. I literally do not know the names of any other characters in this movie.
The crazy neighbor lady is Jessica, and Gail Weathers is in it. That's all I got.
Okay,
I can't even remember the boyfriend's name.
Right, sorry. I completely forgot Gail was in this. She's also
made up
useless.
names, and none of us would have corrected you.
Yeah,
I'm aware.
The crazy neighbor's name is Peanut Butter, and her son is Sitting Bull. And honestly, I would not have stopped you. Keep going, Alexis.
And I'm not joking. I literally forgot Gail Weathers was in this movie. That's how little she amounts to this. So you have the scene.
That's okay. Midway through, so does the movie.
Oh, I'm well aware. So you have the scene of the teenagers in the bar and Costume Girl, which what I'm calling the best friend, because the only thing I remember about her was she was making costumes for the play.
I want to say Cody.
I genuinely do not remember, and I'm not going to say the one black girl.
I think her name was Token.
Mark handled it for us. We appreciate it, Mark.
Okay, so she's in the kitchen when Ghostface attacks, and she runs out, and she runs into Creepy Boy, who I guess those two have just suddenly decided they like each other. And she goes, "Oh my God, there's the killer's in the kitchen." And Creepy Boy goes, "Hang on, I'll take care of this." And he runs in, and then he runs out, and he looks like he's stabbed. Now, we all know the rules because we sat through Scream 6. We know unless you actually see the death on screen, it's fake. Because they're trying to set up, it's like, well, this is why we didn't see it, because they weren't actually hurt.
Chloe, not Cody. Chloe, okay. That was phonetically close enough.
So then, yeah, he kills Costume Girl, but then we see Creepy Boy actually crawling on the floor trying to get out, and it's like, oh, wait, he actually was stabbed. To which Ghostface decides, you know what? I feel like channeling a little Art the Clown, picks him up, and shoves his head on a spiky thing that's like,
It was a beer tap.
Beer tap. Thank you. I almost said nozzle. I'm like, that's not what they're called. To which we get a scene that logistically makes no sense of the beer coming
Yeah.
out of his mouth. I was sitting there going, okay, I know I don't drink beer and I've never worked as a bartender, but I'm like 90% sure that's not how that
I
would
don't
work.
understand why they
It's
decided
not.
to ape Family Guy, aping Quentin Tarantino, but I laughed my ass off at that.
Oh, it's funny, and I like the gag, but if you think about it for half a second, like, no.
You have the whole scene of the twins from the previous two movies, and the girl who in the previous two movies decided to fulfill her uncle's legacy of talking about the tropes, and she stands up and starts talking about the tropes again, which go nowhere. You have this whole scene at the TV station, which goes nowhere. This movie feels like they actually had a cool idea, and then it doesn't feel like it was.
Hang on. I'm really trying to let you finish, but your whole current diatribe is so much of this movie goes nowhere, except that you're wrong about the TV scene. That's to set up the split between that one. It's to set up the split between Sidney and Gail, but it's also to give Sidney another push along her arc of making her confront her trauma and actually talking about it with her daughter. The whole fucking movie is so that Sidney learns to talk to her daughter about her past instead of trying to bury it, especially as her daughter is becoming curious about it. The purpose of the one was to draw out Matthew Lillard if he was alive, and two was to do all of that. So it does have purpose, and it did go somewhere. If you're asking it, if you're saying like, well, it doesn't lead us any further towards who the killers are. Yeah, none of this movie leads us to who the killers are. But that's been the problem with every Scream movie since the second one, which is it's a bunch of giant misdirections. And as my friends once told a girl who was driving us home, make the next 4 rights. Wait, that's a circle. That's kind of how these Scream movies go. It's they misdirect. Killers from out of fucking nowhere. It makes no sense and has less and less impact as these movies have gone on.
Yes, but the previous movies, there were still just if you go back and rewatch it, you pick up on little hints, little things that actually do point to so-and-so being the killer.
I said my argument, Alexis, because you're not listening, it goes somewhere and it does something. It just doesn't go to who the killers are, which is a problem with all of the Scream movies.
Well, I was saying that previous Scream movies, that wasn't the problem. I'm saying previous Scream movies,
it's been a problem with every single one of these since the third one.
Okay,
the third one started doing that shit too, where it was like, our killers will have absolutely nothing to do with anything you've seen in this movie so far.
Okay, I agree with you about the third one being pulled out of the ass, but 4th, 5th, and 6th, I still say there were hints as to who the killers were.
Fine, keep going.
All right.
5, absolutely. 6, yeah.
There's some dialogue with Dermot Mulroney. I can't remember how to pronounce it. The police guy. Yeah, his character. You pick up on some of the dialogue, and you realize what he was talking about was actually alluding to the plot.
But him, yes. The other two, not so much. But
okay, but again, this movie feels like the only thing that they had going on it was it's like we got Neve Campbell back, and we're going to talk about the tropes, and that's it. And there is nothing beneficial to it. I mentioned earlier about how when they actually shake up the formula a little bit with Ghostface, you can get some pretty interesting scares and tense scenes. We did not get any of that. Hell, the scene with Mckenna Grace's character, she's the only actress I actually recognize. She's the girl in the Tinkerbell outfit getting dragged up and on the harness with the Ghostface killer underneath. Even then I was going, okay, this could lead to some interesting kills, but it's boring. It's very boring. It's like, guys, you had a prime opportunity for something unique here, and you played it too safe.
See our discussion of Psycho Killer.
In the end, the only things that I really enjoyed about this was Matthew Lillard, because God bless that man. The way he comes in, full Stu Macher, just the way he is chewing the hell out of the scenery. It's like, dude, you understood the assignment.
I can't express how much I wish they had actually brought that character back by the time this movie was over. Like, I wish they'd just done it.
I do too, because that's just how enjoyable he was. I really enjoyed him. And the only thing, and these characters did nothing, but the twins, the Meeks twins, Gail's assistants, those two at least have really good chemistry, and watching their interactions was kind of fun. I like that little post-credit scene of them trying to record a news brief, and they keep screwing it up. It's like, at least those two make me laugh, you know?
So there was a great opportunity that this movie bypassed. It would have been a much more interesting movie. Hear me out on this, Robert. I thought where they were going with this was that this was the cult of Stu. That, yes, maybe he didn't really die in the house with the TV on his head, but he does die in the psychiatric facility after he's infected the entire place like a virus. And it's being carried. And I could have bought that it was being carried out by the orderly at the nurse, whatever he was, at the psychiatric facility, if there had been dozens of Ghostface and they were all patients at the psychiatric ward. That would have been a lot more interesting to me, because at the end you could have had Neve Campbell and the kid playing Tatum running for their lives as an army of Ghostface, ran around. Like, that would have been a fucking nightmare scenario, and it would have been a pretty cool visual. That's where I thought this was going.
I could see that. I could rock with that.
At least that would up the ante a little bit, change the formula.
Yeah, like he was, he had somehow managed to live through the first Scream movie, and he had been in the psychiatric institution for years, and for years and years and years he talked about this, and finally he actually did die, and so to carry out his legacy, they attack this poor besieged woman and her daughter, but it's the whole goddamn facility at this point. It's all of these different psychos. And the stuff you could have done with that would have been really interesting. Would have made a lot more sense than the explanation that we got. Having said that, the reveal is other than the joke about always shoot him in the head and then they fucking shoot that lady's face off, which I laughed hard at. There were some, I have laughed harder at moments of this movie than I have at most comedies I've seen the past year or two, where I can't take this movie seriously, and visually the stuff that it's so funny. I know you guys love Sam Raimi. You could have convinced me this was a Sam Raimi movie with some of the over the top gore and his sort of hysterics, the bit with the tap, stuff like that. The way he's killing her as Mckenna Grace is swinging back and forth, and they're banging her into stuff. Like the people who put this movie together just have a need to overtly abuse the actors. That made me think of Sam Raimi.
I can't imagine why.
Yeah. So you know where I'm going with this. So anyway, my son and I got into a really interesting debate about this because my daughter and I liked it. Go fig. My son hated it and he didn't want to go in the first place. So he was already in a bad mood about the whole thing. But he walked out. He was like, "This is a fucking nothing movie. Why do you bring me to these things?" And I'm like, "Ugh, I've lost you at 12." But here's what I told him. When the movie's operating poorly, but it's trying at least, as a whodunit, as a mystery, and they're actually looking for clues and stuff. They're going to the psychiatric facility, they're talking to people, they're trying to piece together things. I was actually enjoying it. The element of the whodunit part of Scream mostly seems to work. It worked for me in this movie. The problem is there's not enough of it. I wish they had spent less time hanging out in a bar, slowly killing people, and more time doing. Again, I'm going to bring up another movie that Robert and I actually liked, and it does a better version of what this movie does. Malignant. After she figures out that what's happening to her, and that she's losing days and whatever, she starts to go on the hunt to figure out what am I? Who am I? What is happening? Why are people being killed? Why am I being haunted? And so there's a mystery afoot, and she goes and does detective work. That's Malignant. This movie does a fifth of what Malignant does, and that's one of the failures of it, is that it should have done 2/5, 3/5, 4/5 of that, and less of the boring kills. And they are boring. If there's ever one thing I've ever agreed with Alexis about, is that I am bored to tears by a guy in a Halloween costume stabbing people. I am bored of being. I was not looking forward to this, as I told Robert for the last couple of weeks. I'm bored of watching people get stabbed. At least with movies like Malignant that are bonkers, or some of the other horror movies that are playing with psyche, just watching people get stabbed has grown redundant for me. And that's all the Scream movies I've ever tend to be. You know, sometimes they do something gross, sometimes they do something, you know, that's kind of funny or fascinating. But for the most part, it's a guy doing armed assaults. So I liked the detective work when they were doing detective work. They don't do enough detective work. Neve Campbell as a mom who is like, is my life ever going to be defined by anything else besides the fact that I was, you know, that my boyfriend tried to kill me, as did a dozen other people. I like that. I like, you know, there's plenty of people who don't want to talk about their trauma. Believe it or not, in the year of our Lord, 2026, some people don't want to talk about their trauma. And the idea that if I talk about this with you, I'll traumatize you is not unheard of. So I saw where she was coming from. The kid, you know, feeling like, why does mom hide everything from me? Why doesn't she respect me? I can also see it from her point of view. So there are parts of this, you know, I called Kevin Williamson a monster because I was reminded that he was also a writer on Dawson's Creek. And
okay, that is. Look, I'm not going to defend the totality of that, but Mark, you and I lived through the era when that was moderately popular. I know all three of us did.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm not that much younger than you.
No, you
like
might
you and
be
Robert
older
are the
than
same
me,
age.
technically.
Well, I meant much younger than Mark. Yeah, Robert, you and I
so
think
we
are
all
the
lived
exact same
through
age.
that,
Mm-hmm.
and believe me, to anyone who may not understand this, Dawson's Creek was actually the good version of that show. There were 18 million worse
sure
versions that just died after a season.
One of which starred Zach from Saved by the Bell.
Yeah, rest in peace, James Vanderbeek.
Anywho, so when Kevin Williams' writing is good when he's writing people acting like people, his writing is not good when he has to figure out who did the done it. Tatum in the coffee shop, hiding from Ghostface and fumbling with the gun, is probably, of the killing scenes, my favorite one. This is not a good movie. However, I was having a good time with it. I laughed in places. Almost the entirety of the pizza parlor scene, once the killing gets started, I don't remember. I didn't see because I got up to take a piss. And I specifically timed it because watching Ghostface kill all these kids is not that interesting to me. And I came back just in time to see the most interesting thing that he does, which is he puts the head on the spike. So I don't want to see any more of these. I'm tired of this fucking franchise. The stuff that it said, actually, I do want to say this one thing. I bring this up a lot. When HBO started doing the HBO Comedy Hour, which was, you know, very new and interesting for its time, Robert Klein did the first one. And I know I've talked about this, but for those that don't know who I'm talking about, Robert Klein's a very old comedian, and he got to do the very first HBO special. And as part of his bit, he acknowledged that for the first time on a televised broadcast, because it was pay cable, he could curse. And he's lamented how he handled it because he was just like, oh my God, we're on HBO. Fuck. And that's what he does, right? And the audience laughs because he's yelling fuck in their face like he's Sam Kinison. And in the later years, when they do a documentary about that and they ask him about that, he was just like, yeah, I didn't handle that well. I wish I had come up with something more inventive, more interesting to say other than just scream fuck at the audience. You know, in the very first time you're allowed to curse on TV. That's how this movie feels. It was like the use of foul language in this movie was like no one had ever cursed before. And they finally got permission to curse, and like a 12-year-old whose father gives him permission to curse. I don't know why he would, but in case that ever happens, it's like there's
a lot of first-hand experience with that one.
Actually, my kids are not allowed to curse in front of me. They both know that. They slip occasionally, and I kind of give them a look, but they're not allowed. Hilariously, I told him, you're not allowed to curse in front of me. Be better. And my son looks at me. He's like, Father. He called me Father. He said, Father. And the lights came down. Father. The spotlight shone on him. He said, Father, for years, since I was a baby, I have listened to you and Robert, and all you did was curse. He's talking about me, not you. And I was like, how did you expect me to not curse? And I went, be better than me, son, in every way possible. So anyway, but that's
you're not wrong considering it's Courteney Cox, who I think does like 90% of the cursing.
Yeah, like they're dropping F-bombs like they've never cursed in a movie before, and they finally got permission. They're like, oh God, free at last. Fuck.
Someone finally realized the Hays Code got kind of left in the dust.
It's like that scene in X-Men Dark Phoenix when Scott is the one who drops the one F-bomb in the movie, and we're all going, really? That's what you got? When you have Courteney Cox be the one who says fuck every 5 minutes, we're sitting going,
I don't want to trigger you, but it's almost as bad as the one time they cursed in the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 movie, where I thought, like, well, that was a waste. I know, like, you love it, but I thought it was dumb.
I didn't necessarily love that scene. I didn't hate it, but whatever.
But yeah, like this whole movie, like they curse so much and so awkwardly, it actually took me out of the movie. Like they don't sound like humans anymore. And as an expert cursor, I was like, wow, this is kind of dumb. The conversations that take place about nostalgia, I actually enjoyed. That this doesn't lean necessarily on horror movie tropes, and they actually actively like lampshaded it. Yeah, okay, I'm glad I kept talking because it reminded me to say this. The funniest thing about this movie, and the thing that made me laugh the hardest, was the in-movie acknowledgement that the last movie did not win fans over, and they had to revert back to this. And they kept
then they make poor Neve Campbell apologize for it repeatedly.
No kid. Anyone else felt like that was Kevin Williamson just basically shaming Neve Campbell?
Yeah, it's called a humiliation ritual.
I should have been in New York.
Humiliation ritual.
As I say, it's called a humiliation ritual. They're all the rage now in movies. Having said that, Robert.
Yeah, there's a lot that I didn't care for about this movie. It kind of just meanders. It lacks energy for big chunks of it. There's a few things I do want to say positively about it, and I think it deserves to be said. One, again, the discussion around nostalgia, I wish they had done better, because nostalgia is a weird thing. And if you're not able to confront nostalgia, you get very nostalgic, and very nostalgic is only defeated by TNT. Basically, you blow stuff up. And then if you're smart, you build something out of the rubble. If you're not smart, you point and laugh. Rian Johnson. Sorry, unrelated. And then, because then you wind up with people who only do one of two things. And Mark, we know people who do both of these. All I want is nostalgia, or dear God, that was the worst thing ever back then. How do you not recognize it? And this is where you wind up. And it's a very unhealthy place to be for a lot of reasons. And I wish this movie had done a better job confronting nostalgia, because it's a thing that frankly deserves to be confronted in this kind of manner. So they did it was one of the better ideas they had. I just wish, again, they'd handled it better. The kills are not super great, which is a shame. Like, I think the only one that I kind of enjoyed, believe it or not, is the first one, because, slow knife press through the temple while one eye rolls back. I actually kind of dug.
That opening scene was like 90% better than almost the rest of the movie.
It really was. It's kind of weird. And
yeah, I was like, okay, the setup good. The characters were idiots, but I like that they actually kind of paid attention. Love that the boyfriend sit there and goes, wait, that thing just moved. It's like so many others would have him be a total idiot and have the girlfriend say, that thing moved again. And he would have been like, oh, come on, you're seeing things. Stab. And credit to the girl in that credit to the girl in that. She actually did a hell of a lot better than most, cannon fodder at the start of the film. The way she gets... the way she clocked her boyfriend in the Ghostface costume was like, yeah, you deserve that, dude. So
there's that. So yeah, I agree. Like, that opening sequence is actually pretty solid.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that this movie, from a, again, sort of shooting standpoint, did a lot of pay attention to stuff just off screen or just off focus. Like, you can actually see in that opening bit, if you pay attention, there's a sequence where we can see into the back where we know the animatronic Ghostface is.
Mm-hmm.
We get another scene where we can see where it should be and it's not, and then we get another scene when it's back. So you can kind of track when it shows up. And there's some stuff in the garage with Joel McHale that I don't hate. Like, again, paying attention.
Oh, yeah, the way the Ghostface killer, kind of the way the sheet shows him in folks. Okay, that was a cool shot.
Yeah, there's a few things like that I think are pretty well done. It's just sad that it never seems to amount to a whole lot. It never builds towards anything. Joel
McHale's character was originally supposed to be Patrick Dempsey's character from Scream 3.
That would have been a choice.
Well, so I think it's in Scream 5 they call Sidney and she mentions her husband, Mark, which was Patrick Dempsey's character's name. And the creators and directors said, yeah, we had always planned on him being the one she ended up with, but Dempsey couldn't make it into film this. So they're like, well, no, this was the guy she was talking about. So,
yeah, Joel McHale was wound up being a very weird casting choice for this one. I mean, I don't think Joel McHale is a bad actor. I just think he's limited. Like, you get him in a narrow set of he's like Jesse Eisenberg. Eisenberg can do like two things. He can do them very, very well. I'm not trying to say he's a bad actor, but he doesn't have range. He has depth, which is not the same thing. Joel McHale kind of in that same school. Like, if you know what you need from him and he's the right guy for the job, he will knock that out of the park. Was not right for this. This movie lost me, I think, when I clocked who the killer was going to be. At least one of them, because you know there's always more than one.
I was just saying, you figured out the orderly, but I refuse to believe you figured out the neighbor.
No. I figured the neighbor. I figured out.
Really?
When Ghostface enters the code to get into the coffee shop.
Okay.
At that point, I went, this is either the blonde neighbor, because we've killed everyone else and she's been on screen enough for that to be somebody, or they're actually pulling the trigger on the Gale heel turn. It was one of those two. And when it became abundantly clear the movie doesn't have any balls, it was never going to be Gale.
How good would a Gale heel turn suddenly like this actually be? That would have been good.
That was like when they revealed the orderly, I went, okay, that's odd, but now it really is only Gale or the blonde lady. We're not bringing Stu back. And you could have got away with that. Again, like somewhere in my head, the original version of this, that is Gale at the end. And
here's the thing: if you do my ending, but it's Gale who's in the mental ward after Dewey's been murdered, and they decide to use Stu as like the red herring, that would have worked.
Oh, so it's kind of funny watching this neighbor because Robert, I pointed this out to Mark. The actress playing you said her name was Jess, the crazy neighbor. Yeah. Anna Camp was recently on a show called Hysteria that we reviewed here on the network. And her character is this psycho level religious nut job who is completely brainwashed. And it's sort of a fascinatingly tragic character when you learn more about her backstory. And I'm watching the scene of her crying and weeping and talking to Sidney about how she inspired her to kill her husband. And I'm sitting there going, Anna, you play crazy so well. You definitely deserve better than this weak ass reveal.
Very much.
She really plays crazy well.
I have no problem believing that. Again, like I feel like the original idea here was for Gale to be revealed as one of these killers because she knows everything. And boy, my career sure has taken a downturn. Let's do the nostalgia trip is the kind of commentary that this needed at the end.
Not to mention, how fitting would it be that she's the one who ran over Carl, as in she knew where he was going to be, and she knew that if he said anything, that he would. Yeah, so it was a case of, she's covering up loose ends, as it were. Because frankly, that her driving over and getting on the car, was like, did I hit him? I was like, that was way too well planned. I'm sorry, that was an eye-rolling moment. If it was meant to be taken seriously.
Do some work to talk me off of the idea that this was at least written in part with the notion of Gale being one of the Ghostface killers at the end of it. I'm fairly convinced of it at this point, personally.
Wouldn't surprise me if Courteney Cox basically said, no, or I walk.
If it wasn't her, it was Paramount. Like, what do you mean? We need them for the next one.
Well, Cox and Campbell both have executive producer rights. You saw their names on the credits. So she probably had enough leverage to say no go.
Wouldn't surprise me, but again, like that's the kind of thing we needed here was, boy, my career's in the toilet. And it can be about and then there was the last one. I mean, my God, Sidney, you didn't even show up. We lost Dewey 2 movies ago. You need you there or the whole thing falls apart. Nobody's buying the new characters. Why weren't you there? Again, that's kind of what we needed out of that finale sequence, and we didn't get it because reasons. If I wanted to say one more positive thing about this, I'm I'm struggling a bit.
I was saying, you said a little bit about Matthew Lillard?
Yeah, Matthew Lillard is just great. So anytime he's on screen, he's a shot of energy. And again, I really wish they'd pulled the trigger on him having survived, because that was actually like the rumor about Scream 2 was, we knew Billy was dead because he gets shot in the head, but it's not impossible for Stu to have survived.
I got asked why they didn't bring Billy back, and I'm like, because I don't think Skeet Ulrich is acting anymore. Like
the last Skeet Ulrich act that I saw was in Riverdale, that Archie Comics.
I know what Riverdale is.
Yeah, he's Jughead's dad.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah.
That'd have been fun.
And, actually, he was good.
And he would not be the first fictional character to come back to life after a gunshot wound to the head.
Yeah, Skeet Ulrich has actually been doing a lot of the Comic-Con circuit. In fact, I know that he came last year with Matthew Lillard.
That's not true, Mark. We saw Skeet Ulrich last year.
Oh, what was he in?
Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Remember?
Oh, right.
Oh God, yeah.
He's the animatronic designer.
He's the other. Yeah. Oh my God.
My favorite cold open in the entire Scream franchise, besides Drew Barrymore getting gutted, was Scream 4. The movie within a movie within a movie. That to this day it makes me laugh, and it's like the one lasting memory of this entire godforsaken franchise.
Again, I'm sorry.
Do you have anything else, Robert?
Again, this is not the worst entry into this franchise, but we've started to see at this point the kind of commentary that Scream did and got famous for is not allowed these days, because you're not allowed to say anything about nostalgia, and the corporate overlords don't allow for the kind of biting, again, almost satire doesn't have to be funny. The kind of biting satirical commentary that you get out of Scream 1 and 2 is not present because you're not allowed to say that by the overlords.
It's funny. The you're not allowed thing has been around for decades. Fox used to buck that trend. Fox was known for being self-deprecating and allowing people to make fun of it, and I think it still does by and large. I think when The Simpsons and Family Guy and whatever other stupid cartoon they've got going on wants to make fun of its own network, even though now it's owned by Disney, I think no one stops them. But you're right. By and large, like the culture does not allow itself to be subjected to self-deprecating humor. So now no one's doing it. And it's now that you mention it, it's like I sorely missed.
It really is. It is desperately missed. And again, you'd think the horror franchise of all places would be one where you could find it.
I was just going to say that your line about the opening scene in Scream 4 is like, there was a moment where they understood the biting commentary of the horror franchise. I definitely can
sympathize with stabbing somebody next to you and bling, will you please shut up? I am trying to watch the movie.
Yeah, I think that's mostly it. Again, there's a couple of decent shots in here. There's some decent set pieces. Oh, I think the last thing, and if there's one appropriate through line for the Scream franchise, it is that Ghostface continues to bump like Shawn Michaels for Hulk Hogan. And God bless him, never get rid of that trope. It is one of the funniest things ever. It's one of the things I like about Ghostface again, it's not always the same guy, but as a killer, Ghostface is human, so he gets messed up. He just gets up and keeps coming, but you hit him in the face with something, he's going to fall over. You can throw him through a coffee table, and then he'll do a tumble outside the ring, and you're left there going, come on, Sean.
In the earlier installments, you would actually hear him grunt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's they have removed a little bit of the humanity from the character, and I miss it.
Mm-hmm.
But again, if there's one other thing that I do like, it's that, frankly, whoever they get to actually, and I don't mean the character, I mean whoever the actor is in the Ghostface, does a good job of injecting personality into him. I mean, there's one in this case when he gets hit in the face and he reaches for his jaw, but it's not his jaw, it's the costume jaw, which is out about here in profile, and he kind of adjusts the jaw like, ow. Like they find ways to give character to this character through the physicality in ways that, again, are kind of lacking in a lot of these things that don't let a lot of masked killer routines. Most of them try to be, Jason, and even Michael Myers originally had some character to what he did. And it's kind of been lost in this spate of, be a big hulking goon. If you're not Art the Clown, you're a big hulking goon. And I appreciate that they tried to keep Ghostface a little bit more in the middle there.
I was gonna say, God, even Leatherface screamed.
Yeah.
Leatherface, especially like when she gets away finally and she gets into the passing truck. And Leatherface is in the road. Like a lot of the old horror icons, they added a sense of humanity to them. I mean, not so much. I mean, even Freddy said an oof every once in a while.
Freddy's the most, because Freddy is all character.
I was gonna say, yeah, Freddy doesn't, for the most part, Freddy doesn't act like he takes a beating or whatever until the final act, but Robert Englund at least has given him one hell of a personality.
Yeah, and even again, to the credit of those, like the original one, or the first two Nightmare on Elm Street, he's not, making jokes, but he's full of character and line dialogue and just presence in that respect.
Now remember "This is God" line. Yeah, that's not a joke, but you remember it.
All right, we good?
Yeah, and again, this is not the worst. I still think 4 is probably the worst.
It's the worst with the best cold open.
4, like, none of the Scream movies are devoid of sequences that are good. They've all of them have some part of them that is well done and memorable. Again, even 6, which I didn't like, the bodega sequence is genuinely very good. This one has a couple of them. There's not a lot, but there's a few things in here that are, again, the opening sequence, the cold open in this one is good. The coffee shop sequence is good. In fact, the whole chase to there is actually pretty solid. Not great, but solid.
I'd like to be that boyfriend in that scene. Like, because how dumb are you that you leave your, it's a good, it was a halfway decent misdirection, but in character, how dumb are you to leave that line around for the mom's daughter to see and have her not reach the wrong conclusion as she batters him about the head with with a nicely placed Macintosh computer.
Who the hell leaves their MacBook like that in the car anyway? You shut it.
I was seriously waiting for, like, that was so on the nose. My only thought was someone set him up. Like, that was where my head went, was somebody planted that on him. Like, I needed him to look at that and go, wait, this isn't mine. What the hell? Before she hits him. Like, so he's left befuddled.
Like something like, I don't edit videos. That's for nerds.
I just go live. I don't, what do I care about process and refining product and
right. I sing karaoke on the live. That's all I do. All right.
Yeah. So this is, again, it's unfortunately definitely like bottom half of this franchise. And this is a franchise that really, if you don't have a really, really strong bit of commentary to make, needs to kind of just go away. I think one of the biggest unfortunate things about this franchise was the way it got attached to Neve Campbell. Because if this was detached from her and the whole thing was a Ghostface killer pops up every now and then with the, horror commentary attached to it, we'd be in a better place with the franchise overall.
Right, but they established early on there is no Scream without Neve Campbell, and now that they've tried it, it's never going to.
Now there's empirical evidence to that fact, and again, this is like me wishing it had detached, after 2. Make Scream 3 something without her entirely.
Yeah,
you can keep Dewey and Courteney Cox, but like
I honestly, I would have kept Gail. Gail's the only one I would keep because she's the only one with any business showing up repeatedly. Dewey never needs to show up again. Never needed to show up again. Like, well, I think if you keep Neve Campbell as the C-3PO and R2-D2 of this franchise, where she's just in everything because she can be anywhere, but everybody else went on to live another life, that would have been preferable.
I would have kept Dewey because, again, he and Gail are married. And I think their relationship was actually a fun dynamic to see played out. But like, keep those two as the through line of, her whole shtick is now I investigate these things when they pop up around the country, and the entire like the Ghostface thing being a social contagion, for want of a better expression, would have been a better way to take the franchise if we're guiding the franchise after like 2. But we are where we are.
Yeah, well, there's not that kind of bravery or foresight in Hollywood, as we know. So speaking of things we know about Hollywood, here comes the money.
We're in the money. We're in the money.
Ugh. Alrighty. On a budget of $45 million, this thing has made $96.7 million at the time of this
We're already
broadcast.
towards profitability, so
Yep. As of March 1st, 2026, Scream 7 has grossed $63.6 million in the U.S. and Canada and $33.1 in other territories for a worldwide total of $96.7 million. On February 5th, 2026, Deadline Hollywood reported that the film was on track for a mid-$30 million domestic opening weekend, which placed it second behind Scream 5's 6. There we go. 6 is for $44.4 million domestic opening weekend. By the week of the premiere, however, estimates were raised to $40 million debut. The film made $7.8 million from Thursday night previews, a franchise record. After its first day of release, the film's opening weekend estimate was revised to $59 million. It opened to $63.6 million, topping Scream 6's $44.4 as the largest for the franchise, though below Scream 2 and Scream 3 when adjusted for ticket price inflation. Really quick, my theater was practically empty for this. Alexis, empty, full?
We went to a late showing, but it was pretty empty.
Robert, you go on Tuesdays when it's just perverts. So how many perverts were there?
Look, I used to go Tuesdays because that was the
that's right. Today's Monday.
So I went today at noon, and it was literally only me, but it's noon on a Monday. Like I go because I don't like crowds in the theater. I don't mind other people being there, but I've gotten to the point where all the bad theater experiences I've had have been with very crowded theaters, and I'm happy with it being, like 50 people, I think is kind of what I want, give or take, in the theater.
There was a lady who brought a mentally disabled person to the movie, and I forgot that, but I could hear someone narrating the movie and yelling to the characters, and I almost got up and committed a felony until I realized what was happening, and then I had to sit down and just grumble to myself. But apparently an old, bald, Aryan-looking fat guy turning around and menacingly looking at a dark theater apparently got this woman to tell the kid, pipe down, Fatty's gonna kill you. So, because I didn't hear him for the rest of the movie.
So you got me beat. I kept hearing somebody playing with their phone. I didn't hear any noise, but I could hear the click of like turning the phone on and off. So I was like, someone back there is pretty fucking bored.
Every movie I've seen just about for the last 6 months or so, I hear somebody talking to the movie screen. And it's like, on the one hand, we should support the movies and keep this industry alive, as many industries are now going down the drain, and we're having one company after another do massive layoffs. On the other hand, I fucking hate you all, and I'm going to stop going to the movies if this keeps up. Shut up! Stop talking in the theaters, you morons! Stop singing in the movies, you childless cat ladies. All right. So...
How did you not turn that into an AI song during the height of our, disgust with that?
I can go back and do it.
Oh, dear God.
Well, it doesn't mean anything
Why?
Because I know how Mark's brain works.
Well, because I wasn't turning everything into song back then.
Well,
by the way,
you were singing your way through it, but you weren't turning it into song.
Yeah. By the way, that whole thing with Peking Duck Batman, you got to understand, that's a me and Jesse thing specifically. That's not the first time we've spent half a source material turning something into a song stupid that I said. You'll remember Badman Sid, where we took Jesse's synopsis, had AI rewrite it as been spoken by a caveman, and then we set it to drums. Badman Sid, make big trouble. I love the age we're in, but I hate the people. Anyway,
that's a I don't know how you circle that square, but
I live for the robot overlords. Scream 7 was the #1 movie of the weekend from Paramount Pictures. in his third week, fell from 1 to 2. Wuthering Porn fell from 2
It's
to
not
3.
even porn.
Okay. The 21 Pilots concert thing debuted at number 4. Epic, the Elvis Presley concert, opened up at more theaters, and that rose from 7 to 5. Crime 101 dropped from 4 to 6. I Can Only Imagine 2, in its second week, fell from 3 to 7. Send Help, in its fifth week, fell from 5 to 8. How to Make a Killing, in its second week, from A24, fell from 6 to 9. Zootopia, still in theaters, fell from 9 to 10. Uma Museme, Pretty Derby, Beginning of a New Era, from Gaga, 13.
I would love to see the look on your face when someone explains to you what that is, Mark, but
Okay. The Revenant has a 10th anniversary, and that's back in theaters at number 22. Dreams, 29. Hypnoseismic, Division Rap Battle Interactive Movie from G Kids is 30. Another one here is 33. For Worse, debuted at 47. The Napa Boys from Magnolia Pictures is 54. And that was the weekend that was worldwide. This ought to be good. Well, the number one movie in the world is a foreign movie, Pegasus 3. Don't know what that is.
Say Chinese.
I'm going to assume.
I would assume. But
Yeah. Wuthering
look it up.
Vaginas is number 2. Blades of the Guardians is number 3. Scare Out is number 4. Goat is number 5. Scream 7. Hey, in its opening weekend, debuted in the worldwide charts at number 6. Good for it. It is ahead of Send Help at number 7. 28 years later, The Bone Temple at 8, and Crime 101 number 9, and Mercy is 10. Some other.
Pegasus 3 is in fact a Chinese movie about racing.
Yeah, I just actually what kills me is I googled Pegasus 3 and I immediately got the American Spy satellite. And I'm like, I don't think that's what we're referring to.
Here are the
Well,
movies
this
currently.
is their F1, basically.
hmm
Here are the movies currently doing worse than Iron Lung: Greenland 2, Migration, Return to Silent Hill, Primate, Extra Worst, Melania, I Can Only Imagine 2, The Strangers Chapter 3, Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die, which, can I tell you, I went back and we have another triple feature of streaming movies coming up in the near future. I think May is what I had it booked for. And I took off the last movie. It's a Hulu movie called Mike and Alice or some shit. And I was like, instead of doing that one, that'll be a good place to shove Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die, along with The Bluff and War Machine.
Okay.
And I was like, all right, we'll throw it in there, and that'll get that settled for me, and I can stop thinking about it. And then I saw today, when I looked to see when this was going to be PVOD, thinking, surely by May this won't be a problem. They're giving Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die, Briarcliff is an extended run in theaters because it's doing so well.
I have heard nothing but good things about it.
Yeah, apparently it's a big fucking hit for whatever this is. It's made worldwide. The total on this is, let me see, 8 million. Oh, yeah, okay, 8,173,675. It is number 39 in the world. Yeah, that's how good it's doing.
Yeah. Oh, it's a Gore Verbinski film. I forgot he was directing that.
That's why
Yes.
Mark wanted to see it.
That was a big part of it. Yeah.
hmm
So that's the weekend that was. We have a bit of news to discuss.
Indeed.
Before we do, just so I can finish up the money stuff. Next week is Hoppers and The Bride. So this one of the two of them, probably Hoppers.
Hoppers, probably.
Mhm.
Hoppers apparently is getting rave reviews, so that'll knock Scream
People
out
are
of the
back
number
on
one
the
spot.
Disney drip feeder.
Well, we have very few family films in theaters right now,
Also
and
true.
Goat came out a while ago, so
I've heard
I think-
Goat's good.
I've heard Goat's good as well. Well, I've heard Goat's more of a thing if you're like really into basketball because it is a very Stephen Curry is the executive producer and the voice of one of the characters, so a lot of people. Did I say Stephen or Stefan?
It's Stephen Curry.
Just
I'm sorry, you're right. It is. I don't know why I said Stephen, but I've been hearing a lot of people say it's good. But if you're more a big fan of basketball, you're gonna absolutely love it.
Scream 7 came out this past weekend, Friday, as it were. We are reviewing it the first Monday after it came out this past Friday. Brittany, Harmony. If you have any other questions, we're happy to answer them. So yeah, with Hoppers coming out and then The Bride, figure Hoppers will be the #1 movie for the next week or two. So this will be the last we hear of Scream.
Yeah, probably up until Project Hail Mary.
Yeah, and then Project Hail Mary is the #1 movie, and then after that is Ready or Not. Ready or Not may or may not be Project Hail Mary, but then
That's going to depend on how good Project Hail Mary is. If it's really good,
and then Alexis's #1 movie of the year and Best Picture nominee for the year of 2026, the Super Mario Galaxy movie. Sorry, I keep pronouncing it wrong, and everyone yells at me for it, like I have an accent or something. Fuck off! The Super Mario movie, Galaxy. Super Galaxy Mario Schmagegi. It's Luigi! That comes out, and that'll be the #1 movie pretty much until May, when we start getting the summer May movies. What is starting off May this year? Like, what's kicking off?
Hang on, I'm on it.
I got it. I have Deep Water May 1st, Mortal Kombat the next week, The Mandalorian and Grogu after that.
Actually, nothing May's week.
Yeah.
You don't think the Mandalorian and Grogu film is going to kick things off?
Slow down. Slow down. May 1st usually kicks off the summer. That's usually a Marvel movie. This year, there's nothing there. That's why we're doing Deep Water. Mortal Kombat 2 is the following week. If you want to say, like, okay, well, that's going to kick off the summer, I'm not going to fight you. May 29th is usually a big fuck all Disney movie. Nothing's coming out May 29th either, which is why the following week we're doing The Boys on a Monday. June has got Masters of the Universe, Disclosure Day, Toy Story 5. I have to do a
June's actually
here.
pretty stacked.
Yeah, June. This is the first stacked June I've seen in a while. Masters of the Universe, Disclosure Day, Toy Story 5, Supergirl, and then the Minions movie. I'm going to go ahead out on a limb here, possibly, and get the ire of Robert against me. I'm actually looking forward to Toy Story 5 for one and only reason. While I still stand behind, they should never have gone past 3, and 4 still sucks. At least this one has a reason to exist. The toys fighting with the screens, that's brilliant. That's a great commentary on modern parenting and children playing with toys. And it needs to be talked about.
Let me be honest. If Toy Story 4 didn't exist and this was Toy Story 4, I'd still be a little annoyed you were like screwing with a literal perfect trilogy. But I could be okay with something came up that we want to talk about, and this is the right vehicle for it.
Hang on. I would like to, my new best friend, Brittany, Harmony, they shouldn't get mad at you for saying it wrong. Holy crap. LOL. I have a new soundboard, Alexis.
I noticed.
Hey, Alexis, say something. Say anything.
I'm not getting paid enough to be here.
What was that, Alexis? What was that? Anyway, Alexis, what's
Mark,
going on with you?
I have to say this for you.
Yeah?
You are the only person on this panel, apart from me, because I'm weird, old enough to understand the gong interrupting someone and what it means.
Hey, Alexis, tell us about what's going on in your world right now with your cons or your family or anything. Now she fucking goes mute. You know what?
Go ahead. Make me the punching bag. I can take it.
I just discovered this the other day. So I have applause now. I have a bounce. I have a heartbeat fast. I have drum roll. I have the aforementioned gong. I have boo, the slide whistle, and I now have I got rid of the entirely recorded too loudly V for Vendetta explosions. And now
you do know I have access to this as well, right?
Anyway, I'm so tired of her. So anyway, Robert, as we were saying in this intellectual discourse,
Yeah, sure.
All right. So we're talking about Toy Story 5, and I'm really excited. I'm actually really excited about that storyline.
The fact that they're going to spend the first 20 minutes just pretending that Toy Story 4 never happened is just amusing to me on many levels.
And we never mentioned the shortcut again. Yeah.
I just love that the biggest hang up everyone's talking about is Woody is bald. And it's just like, I don't know why that is the hang up that everyone is getting over.
All right. Let's talk.
I would be more excited about Toy Story 5 if I wasn't entirely positive that the message at the end is we can find a way to coexist with the screens.
Well, they're gonna have to, but
They're not going to be allowed to make the obvious
There is
criticism of
so
this.
much research how bad screens are for anyone like under the age of 12. Like mounting research about how awful being
Cheap
indoors,
dopamine.
being on screens, medicating your children with psychotic or antipsychotics and antidepressants and ADHD stimulants, how awful all of it is bad for kids.
I was going to say, yeah, because that's what happened to most millennials. We were the generation of something's wrong with your kids. Oh, guess what? We got pills for that.
Yeah.
And this is why we're all so screwed up now.
Speaking of pills you should swallow. So there's been a long running story for a couple months now about WB being up for sale, it being bidded on by a bunch of different studios, not the least of which was Netflix. So I'm going to read the short history of this thing so that we can talk about it, because there's some pretty big news that broke over the weekend.
Compiled via Chat GPT with only minimal internet access. So let's see how this goes.
I hate you. Over the last year,
you have a soundboard and you just go with "I hate you." I am so disappointed.
I wasn't on. You know what? Fucking. I have too many women in my life. This is how you make me feel. This is you all the time.
Robert, did you ever
Every
have
show.
one of those? Did you ever have a professor in college who just whenever they did not slideshows but PowerPoints, they would do every single kind of filter and transfer and everything, and it was just a nightmare because you could tell they were having way too much fun with all the buttons. Because I had one of those, and I'm having flashbacks.
No, I have accepted that Mark has this new toy and he's going to use it a lot.
I just want you to know this is a gunshot, Alexis. That's for you.
That is the world's worst gunshot sound effect.
Yeah, really. I initially didn't have it, but I needed another sound for it.
I was going to say, that doesn't sound like a gunshot. That
It sounds
sounds
like a door slamming.
I thought it sounded like a horse taking a crap.
Oh, I still have. Hang on. If you want to talk about horses taking a crap, Alexis, like I know you do, I still have this.
But that's Mungo.
Yeah, sorry. I binged The Night of the Seven Kingdoms, and it has a scene of the little kid trying to train the horse, and they cut back, and the horse is literally taking a shit. So,
okay. Speaking of things I would like to shove into the nothing. Over the last year, Hollywood has been in the middle of one of the biggest corporate fights in modern media history, a battle between Netflix and Paramount Skydance for control of Warner Brothers Discovery, the parent company of Warner Brothers, HBO, CNN, and a massive film and television library. To understand this, you have to go back to 2022, when Warner Media merged with Discovery to form Warner Brothers Discovery. The deal created a content giant, but also saddled the company with heavy debt. At the same time, the cable television was collapsing, streaming growth was slowing, and Wall Street was demanding profitability over expansion. Warner Brothers Discovery found itself squeezed, too big to fail, too leveraged to move easily, and stuck between legacy cable decline and an expensive streaming arms race. By late 2025, Warner Brothers board began exploring strategic alternatives, including a potential sale. Netflix emerged as an early frontrunner. For Netflix, acquiring Warner would have meant gaining HBO's prestige brand, Warner's century-old film library, DC Comics properties, and control of a deep television catalog. It would have instantly transformed Netflix from a dominant distributor into the owner of one of Hollywood's most historic studios. But Paramount Skydance, itself the product of consolidation, entered the picture with a broader vision. Instead of carving off pieces of Warner, Paramount aimed to acquire the entire company. That meant not just the studio and streaming service, but cable networks, news operations, and production infrastructure. The pitch was scale in an era where tech giants like Amazon and Apple are spending aggressively Traditional media companies believe survival requires size. What followed was a bidding war. Netflix initially had an agreement in place, but Paramount repeatedly raised its offer. Warner's board ultimately determined Paramount's proposal was financially superior. Netflix had a short window to counter. It declined. The company signed
Not a $2.8 billion payout for walking away to Netflix, so there's that.
Yeah. The company signed that chasing the higher valuation didn't make strategic sense and walked away, reportedly collecting a significant breakup fee in the process. Thank you, Robert. Paramount Skydance now stands poised to combine its assets with Warner's pending regulatory approval, which it's going to get because Paramount and the White House have connections. It finalized the merged company would control two of the most storied studios in Hollywood history, multiple streaming platforms, major news networks, and an enormous global content pipeline. Think of this as another version of the Disney-Fox merger. It would also inherit substantial debt and face scrutiny from antitrust regulators concerned about media concentration. For Netflix, the outcome is strategic calibration. Rather than owning a legacy studio, it remains a distribution powerhouse built on data, algorithms, and global production pipelines. For Paramount, this is a high-stakes bet that can scale offset structural decline in cable and intensifying competition in streaming. Zoom out, and this isn't just a corporate drama, it's a reflection of the larger shift. The collapse of the old cable bundle, the plateauing of subscriber growth, and the reality that streaming has matured into a slower, more expensive business than investors have once imagined. The fight over Warner wasn't about ego, it was about survival in an industry where consolidation is increasingly seen as the only path forward. So, Robert, your thoughts?
I got a couple here. One, this does still need regulatory approval. Even if it gets regulatory approval, the actual process of merging companies this large takes time. We're not going to see the actual fruits of this for probably at least another year.
I was going to say, if you use the Disney Fox as a model, I think that took place 2015,
give or take.
And we didn't really see anything till 2020, 2021.
Little before that, but yeah, thereabouts.
I mean, they were for the after 2015 and after they finally approved it, the next 4 years were literally about just cleaning up the Fox contracts, letting stuff. That's how we got New Mutants in theaters. So there was a whole process of cutting things and cleaning things up and releasing stuff into the ether. That was the funniest part of COVID, was there was still stuff in theaters, mostly because Disney just needed to dump a lot of Fox properties and it didn't care what happened to them.
Yeah,
so you'll see a lot of that here.
Yeah, so there's still going to be a lot of the actual maneuvering and merging of things. That's going to take a while to fully coalesce. So there's that. This is not going to be the end of the world in the next 2 months in a lot of respects. So there's that. If this goes through, the company that comes out of it, whatever they call it, is going to be $100 billion in debt.
How much did they just give to the UFC?
They're paying them basically $1.1 billion a year for 7 years.
Nice. It's good. I like how people are wondering why we don't have money for social programs. It's because all the money is right at the top and it's going into fucking black holes like this.
I will talk about you and I can talk about that at some other point in time.
I mean, I'm being flipped.
I know you are, but you're also touching on a real thing that is a real problem. So
yeah, well,
so there's a couple of things that are going to come out of this. One is that CNN, which still derives the majority of its viewership via airports, is maybe going away. It's certainly going to change a little bit. There's a lot of people who are losing their minds.
I would say traditional cable news is dying.
Yeah, across the board. There's a lot of people who are losing their minds over two things. One is, it's a monopoly. No. If this goes through, they're still not bigger than Disney. First of all. Second of all,
I don't even think they're busier than Universal Comcast.
That was my other point. You could argue that Paramount Warner Brothers is still behind Universal Comcast. Now, you can still argue it's not good to go from 4 players to 3 players. I would agree that that's probably not the best thing in the world. but we have not even approached monopolistic status when there's at least 3 equally sized competitors.
Yeah.
So we're not quite running up against that the way everyone's freaking out about. The other freak out point is, well, CNN is a news outlet and the new owners are cozy with the Trumps. At which point I'm stuck going, CNN's, like, the notion of unbiased news is a fallacy perpetrated by bad
CNN,
actors.
the same people who traded Access with Saddam Hussein.
Indeed. We can go to Iran. Oh, so we can talk about human rights abuses and the totalitarian nature of his rule, right? No.
Yeah. I'm not really interested in anyone crying about CNN, and what first of all, in the next 10 to 20 years, CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, they're all going away. There is an easier way to do news now, and big 24-hour. The idea of 24-hour cable news is dead. It's going to take a long time for this body to die, but it's essentially it's on a respirator.
Yeah, you don't need the production equipment and the facilities to do it now that you used to.
Well, the way people consume media now has changed. People are doing it through scrolling apps, for example. So it's low-hanging fruit to be like, oh, you're on TikTok, you're just watching a bunch of people, do bullshit. No. There are news organizations on TikTok, like Brute. There's a few others, and that's where the reporting is going, and that's where people are getting their news. Like, so, mom and your boomer parents, and my generation, the perfect generation, that for years sat in front of the TV and watched cable news, and got triggered when they got to hear the news alerts. We're dying, as is that medium, and the younger people are all getting their news from social media.
You're algorithmically fed 15-second sound bites.
Yeah, but I mean, it's all
which is not good, but that's where we're going.
Right. That's the thing. Is so cable news came out of the fact that we had cable, and that much like MTV, you had to have content for 24 hours. So we had 24-hour news cycles. Nature abhors a vacuum. Now everyone gets their news differently, and they get it through social media outlets, scrollers like TikTok, Instagram, etc. All we're doing is just shifting the old model to the new model. And the old model is a lot more cumbersome, and you have to shed a lot of weight, and you don't need as much to do the new model, period.
Yeah. So that's where we are with that. This will be, again, another large... we have someone at Scream who agrees with us about the ending being...
No argument there, my friend.
A couple of comments here, but that's the one we're putting on screen. Ending was fucks. Yes, put it on the t-shirt, Mindy.
Mm-hmm.
I assume that you meant the D instead of the S at the last one.
I hope he doesn't. I hope he actually meant ending was fucks, because I will start using that phrase.
Sure.
Why
That's
not?
That's a little bit like arguing with someone who, especially like South Americans, they struggle with adding like secondary verbs. So when you turn the light, you don't turn the light off.
Yeah.
Right. So if you tell someone from there to fuck off, they tend to respond with "No, you fuck."
Wonderful.
It's a not uncommon thing. Anyway.
So
that's kind of where we are.
Lionsgate now. That's all that's left for Netflix. Any value?
Lionsgate's actually okay. Like the other big thing about Warner Brothers, and this is kind of the big. If you want to say there's a bigger thing here than some of the other acquisitions, Fox wasn't exactly brimming with IP. It had some. I'm certainly not going to say none, but Warner Brothers, like when you go down their list of IP contracted to them, they've actually got a lot of stuff.
They have Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, DC. The entirety of Looney Tunes. They have the tag in. No, tag in meant tag in Alexis.
Oh.
What else does Warner Brothers have?
What's there? Yeah, the Harry Potter, DC, Matrix, Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that's right. They have all the HBO stuff too. So they have. Hey, now Paramount has The Wire.
Mark it off your bingo card.
So anyway, Yeah, I'm curious if Netflix really wants a studio that badly. They're kind of out of options because
At this
unless
point,
they start going, unless they doing independent like Neon or A24, all that's left now is Lionsgate.
Well, they either have to acquire Lionsgate, which is not off the table. Let's be clear. Lionsgate has a few bits of IP, but Lionsgate kind of survives.
They're still making fucking Hunger Games movies. They're
I'm
fine.
aware. That's like the only major one they have, but it's not.
Well, they
the
had
only one.
John Wick too, but
They've got that. They've got the Saw franchise. Like there's
Right.
stuff they've got. But Netflix is kind of at the point where it's either you acquire Lionsgate, which is a mid-sized studio, or you literally build your own, and they're not going to do that.
Can I make a pitch to Netflix to not like if they buy Lionsgate, it's kind of neither here nor there for me. At this point, like the big thing was would they or wouldn't they get Warner Brothers? They didn't. I'm ready to move on with this story. If they get Lionsgate, it's not going to be earth shattering. It's literally like, they got a Temu studio. But let me tell you how I think Netflix actually did themselves a favor here by walking away from this and letting Paramount spend retard money on Warner Brothers.
Well, for the record, Paramount, here's the other thing about this deal.
Mm-hmm.
This is being guaranteed financially, not by David Ellison's dad, who is one of the 10 richest men in the world. He is personally putting up like it's going to wind up being like $200 billion of personal guaranteed money.
If you look at Netflix's like movies that are coming out in the next year, which occasionally, like I said, to create new podcasts that we're going to do, I will occasionally check to see what streaming movies are coming out and bunch them together for triple features and whatnot. Also to see if we're missing anything good. Like there's something that's cool that's coming to Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, whatever. Nothing ever cool goes to Amazon, but the other ones maybe. Let me tell you how Netflix has cobbled together over the last decade a lot of really good production deals. Now you may not like all of the movies that come out. So when I say like they've got a production deal with Lindsay Lohan, they've got a production deal with Adam Sandler, they've got different, there are different studios putting stuff out through Netflix, and like focus on that, because the other side of that is with Universal, Comcast, Disney, and now Paramount, Sundance, Warner Brothers, Pornhub.
Skydance.
Yeah, what'd I say?
Sundance.
Yeah, that'll be next.
That's literally a city in Utah.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest film festivals
There's going to
of the
be
year.
all of they
No,
still
they
have
moved
all
that
of
to
these
Denver.
They still have all of these controls over the movies. Like we just talked about Scream, which is a Paramount movie, and there, as an artist, you still get noted to death. You still get a lot less leash to play with in order to create your art. Netflix isn't, as we've noted, now many times to the art's detriment. But hear me out. I would rather the artists have the playground that Netflix is giving them to do whatever with, and then internally have people telling them no, so that we don't get nonsense slop. Then Netflix ending up with a studio and having the stuff that was in that studio be so tightly controlled. Like, I like the idea that Netflix is the last place people can go now to get a deal and to actually like make something different. Granted, more often than not, they don't, but I'm still willing to believe that there's something new and interesting that comes from Netflix than I do from any of the three major studios in theaters.
That's true to a degree.
I mean, granted, they gave us Frankenstein as an example.
Yeah, like,
but they also gave us the Electric State, so I see both sides.
They also gave us K-pop Demon Hunters.
Sure.
Which Sony is kicking themselves over. That was supposed to be a Sony. Can you imagine if Sony had like finally had one thing to celebrate?
I forgot Sony was still out there. Like I'm sitting there, like all that's left is Lionsgate, but Sony's still kicking around. And for a while there, it looked like Sony was going to get sold too.
Well, Sony is apparently struggling like crazy because they've gotten the terms of they need to make another Spider-Man property within, I think it's the next 4 years or less. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, they're going to lose the rights. And considering that the whole Spider-Man villains story arc.
I heard they're rebooting the Spider-Man, the Spider-Man non-Spider-Man universe.
They are trying so desperately to find something that they can release. This is more pathetic than the fan force stick.
Do a
It's
live
not
action.
quite that
clobbering.
pathetic,
I
but
swear to God, just do a live action Spider-Gwen movie. That's all. That's what they want to do. That's what they've been trying to do, and it's like staring them right in the face. I don't think it'll do well anymore. I think Spider-Gwen's like a fucking passe property, but just make a Spider-Gwen movie already.
Well, it is funny because we got the trailer for the Spider Noir series on Amazon that's coming out with Nicolas Cage, and it does look good. And it's like, guys, you do have
Mark. No, go ahead. Sorry.
I was saying
Finish your point.
you have options, and it's become very clear that fans really are flocking to the characters that were introduced in the Spider-Verse films. They're going nuts for Spider Noir, Spider Gwen, Spider Punk.
My daughter would love a Spider-Punk anything.
Oh, I love Spider Punk. And it's like, Sony, if you could capitalize on those characters, I think you could have something. But then they're like, no, let's focus on the villains. It's like, you guys have a shot here, and you were completely missing it.
Go ahead, Robert.
Yeah, for the record, Mark, I think if you want the ability to do whatever creatively, you go to MGM, because Amazon don't care at all. About the vast majority of what it does.
If like I want to go to Netflix because I want to make something important, and I want to I want there to be an opportunity, to possibly win an Oscar at some point, and maybe get some
at which point Netflix then goes, okay, but can you have this character reiterate what just happened 5 seconds ago for anyone not paying attention?
Can you do it, but make it 3 hours? Can you do that? And then there was like, I don't want to be told what to do ever, and I'm not interested in awards. Well, look this way. Amazon's over here. Ugh.
Because, dude, unless you are like Amazon's TV stuff, they care about and micromanage in some respects to an unhealthy degree.
Well, I was going to say, Amazon TV, we got Fallout and the success with Has-Been Hotel and Hell of a Boss, which has netted them.
And for the adults, the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel and Reacher, and a bunch
they
of
also are contractually obligated for 3 more seasons of Rings of Power that's costing enough that even Amazon has to take notice.
Truth
and
is,
couldn't make Wheel of Time work.
I'll say the truth is, I think the studio that's suffering the most, and I could be wrong, I think it's Apple TV, because frankly, they got Ted Lasso and nothing else.
They've got other stuff.
They have a lot of prestige stuff too.
Yeah, they don't break through like the news cycle very often, but there's a lot of quality stuff over on Apple TV. They just announced, oh crud, what was it they announced? Was it them that got Brandon Sanderson stuff? I think they got the Cosmere, which is a non-trivial deal in that space.
Because
we got about 20 minutes left, so unless you guys have something important to say, we got to move on to the last segment here.
Well, I mean, you didn't give me a chance to stand on the platform to talk about the Paramount deal.
All right, you've got 2 minutes. Go. Say something interesting.
FCC chair and Trump appointee Brendan Carr has made it abundantly clear that he has no problem pushing more jingoistic material and pro-Trump material on networks and such. The fact is that the Ellison Group has already made it clear that they are happy to do whatever Trumpy says by canceling the
You mean
Late
our
Show.
dear leader, President Donald J. Trump? Every time one of you people doesn't say his name, I'm saying it for you. I got a guy that I do work with, and he just calls him Donnie, like they're fucking friends. Drives me nuts. So
Okay, I'm sorry. Whenever, I'm sorry, I got the list here. Cheetah Bonito, Mango Mussolini, President PDF file, Schitzler is pants. I could keep going.
I hope you
I
get
have a long
deported.
list.
To Sweden.
Of all the places.
I keep doing the same joke. I don't know why you question
You
it.
do, but I always forget that that's your go-to for this, and it kind of hits me sideways every time.
It's like I hope you get deported. Oh, so mean to Sweden. Oh, that's right. He's doing Johnny Dangerously.
Look, I know I am the lone liberal on this show, let alone the network, but I stand
You are far from alone in the overall network. For the
overall
record.
network climb. I know I'm the lone liberal on the show. I have been concerned about Paramount since they decided to just full on cancel The Late Show, not replace Stephen Colbert. They are canceling it.
Late night talk shows are
Shut-
dead
let her-
anyway,
let her
and have
finish,
been for like
please.
5
Or we're gonna
years.
be here
Sorry.
for 20 fucking years.
Thank you.
She's doing a fucking obituary here. Let her have it.
I just worry when the Ellison Group has already shown that they have no qualms giving Cheeto Benito whatever the hell he wants. That I'm sorry, would you prefer Pumpkin Spice Palpatine? Again,
I would
we got
prefer
a
you say
list.
the president's fucking name, you asshole. Jesus Christ. Just say President Trump. Why is that so hard?
Because I got a whole list here of names that I'm gonna go
I got a
through,
list
but
of
it's
names too.
Yeah, I know you do. You
Come
say
on, wrap it
plenty.
up.
I am very, very worried because Ellison Group and Brendan Carr have already shown that they are putting a lot of pressure on this. And I feel that you're right. This isn't something we're going to see right away because it will take a while for the deal to go through and for everything to get cleaned up. But I really think we're going to see some problems coming ahead. But maybe again, it's just the problems that I'm going to see because I am the lone liberal.
By the way, for anyone who's like, oh, is he like a MAGA guy? No, I was the same way about President Barack Obama. When the other group of assholes were calling him Barack Hussein Obama, and
Well, that is his name, but
and said the emphasis was on the
I'm
Hussein,
aware.
Yeah.
I'm
and that
aware.
he was a Muslim born in Kenya or some horse shit. Like, I'm not disrespecting people because I don't like their politics, and I don't think anyone else should either, for the record. But yes, your concerns are heard, Alexis. That you're worried that with this merger that this now becomes a propaganda arm for the White House.
Yes.
Well founded. It could very well be, and I don't want that. For the record, I wouldn't want that either. But I wouldn't want any one of these corporations to be a propaganda arm for the president.
I agree. I
Any
wouldn't want to. I
president.
wouldn't want. I was going to say I wouldn't want a propaganda arm for the president if a Democrat was in the White House. I don't want that.
Yet
Period.
we have MSNBC.
Yeah, I think, and I don't want to get into a whole thing about this, but when the big accusation for Fox News when George W. Bush was president was his propaganda wing, and then for the 8 years President Obama was president, then it was MSNBC. So and then President Trump takes power and cable news falls apart. So, I don't want it, Alexis. It would be bad if it happened, but I think we just established 20 years of the same thing happening over and over and over again, possibly inevitable.
For whatever it's worth, my stance on this is just we've all gotten so used to, and unfortunately, it became a joke that, oh no, the news media is liberal. And it started as a joke because it was true. And humor has to have a grain of truth to it. Otherwise, it's just absurdity. And it just became a joke for so long that people stopped realizing it was true. And then everyone and their dog suddenly fell apart when news outlets followed market incentives. And one news outlet went, well, let's be a little more right-wing. And everyone went, oh!
Heavens to Betsy.
And then suddenly when not every news outlet is saying the same things with different verbiage, which is kind of what you had for a long time, everyone started looking at the other one going, oh!
Heavens to Betsy.
Yes, and that's kind of just where we are now. And we've just settled into a slightly monolithic media landscape for 40 years or more that was dominated by one side of the equation. And now it's like, oh no, it's falling apart. Like, yeah, it kind of needed to. Look, I'm not opposed to some deconstructionism as long as there is an active, appropriate effort at rebuilding. And the news media landscape has been broken for a while. If we need to finally break up the foundations to rebuild something that's good, I'm okay with it.
My favorite.
I just want to make sure it's good that comes out of it.
My favorite, most recent story, and then after this, I'm going to hit the buttons. Was for about a decade, the federal government had been investigating social service programs in Minnesota. Some people went to jail, not enough. There were convictions. There were ongoing investigations. Some of this is Minnesota stonewalling and not cooperating with the federal government, but there were investigations. Then an asshole YouTuber shows up and starts shoving cameras in people's faces. And everyone's reaction to him is, yellow dog journalism is back. Look at Nick fuckface go. No, he's bringing the news to the light that the mainstream media, the cowards, they won't talk about it, except that they had talked about it. It was all over. The stupidest thing I hear on an ongoing basis is no one's reporting this. Then they proceed to read from news reports. It's never that no one's reporting something. It's that you're not hearing what you want to hear in the news report, so you think no one is. It is an asshole's interpretation of what's going on in the news, and it drives me up the wall.
I think you're correct to be annoyed by this. I think the problem is when people say no one's reporting it, we've all sort of got stuck in a spot where our entire worldviews are siloed. And something that you just found out about, you're like, how was no one talking about this? The next silo over has been talking about nothing but that. And frankly, they're sick of it and think it's nothing. And so this is kind of where we are.
About 10 years ago, when we first started up the group chat, when I got diagnosed with cancer, and there would be certain people in the group chat who decided to drop links into stories and be like, hey, here's some chum to get everyone fired up. And, when we all used to talk to each other, and we'd have these massive arguments, and 2 seconds of a Google search would disprove whatever this person dropped in there, because they were getting it from dumb blogs that were regurgitating things that they got that were misinterpreted from elsewhere. My favorite one was something having to do with like kids in Africa, and it was like, look, the bad thing happening to Africans, and it's having to do with the people who are opposite me, and let's all get mad about this. And I went, hang on, because I have discernible brain and time on my hands at the time, and I went, click, Google. Oh, he got this from here, and this was. And everywhere else got it from here, wildly misinterpreted it, and wrote it in such a way as to aggravate anyone that reads this. And I was like, Jesus Christ, this is what we're doing now.
Congratulations. This is the new media landscape.
Pretty much. I was gonna say it's the Pepe Le Pew argument all over again. One person says it, and all of a sudden it's like everyone said it, but it all came from one source.
Then everybody gets to spin up outrage about what one person said at one point, but because now we're reporting on it, other people can report on our reporting, and it's news.
Are you ready? No! I said, are you ready?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Incidentally, I did a whole TikTok complaining about YouTube journalists and stuff like that, saying, can we slow this fucking train down and actually examine things before we, say that this guy is the new, famous reporter. And I had a comment on there. Why would you spend even 1 second on this? Truth matters not. Being on the right team does. That's where we're at. Speaking of the right team, 32% rotten on the tomato meter and 77% on the fan meter. There we go.
All right. Look, you threw the nostalgia chum out there, and the seals clapped.
It falls to 22% when you go to top critics. Verified audience is 77, and it drops to 72 when you go to all.
That's a 5 percentage point difference between verified and all at this point is just an acceptable margin of error.
What about that 10% on the tomato meter there when you switch to top critics?
I think all the fucking critics are just sick of this franchise, quite frankly.
Well, yeah.
There's a chunk of the critics that are just going to be too pretentious to have actually engaged with this in good faith. You can still engage with it in good faith and find it wanting, but the number of critics, and I almost guarantee the number of people we're going to see complaining about using this as the whipping boy for we're all sick of long-running IP is going to be pretty high.
And the AI writes, less a return to Scream's roots than a disappointing creative regression. This 7th entry draws little blood with its dull knife of a script. Boo! Hang on.
Dull knife of a script.
Hang on. Let me do it right. Where are you? I love buttons. All right. Let's see if I can find your husbands and wives and wives and husbands.
Just out of curiosity, Mark, was this just an update with the
Yes.
website?
And I ignored it for a couple of weeks, and then I stopped ignoring it and realized, oh
You-
God, wait, I have a soundboard again.
It gave me everything I wanted. Why did I ignore this?
Says every wife ever. Okay. So before
You're not bitter.
not even a little. So speaking of bitter, I'm driving with Erica to the Naked Swimming Hole. Okay. And I'm playing I think it's the Crime 101 podcast. And we get to this part. And I said, blah blah yakety schmackety of the Mary Sue Robert Winfrey.
Yeah.
Now you know that I've been doing that for over a decade now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just one of those things that we do. There's certain guys, there's certain people on here, certain women that if I see them when we do this bit, there's a funny voice I do, there's a thing, they're one of your wives or husbands or whatever. We have a long running list of jokes.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I love my girlfriend. Let me start there.
Had she never heard you do that before?
No.
Really?
And she insisted, like Khrushchev banging a shoe in the car on the way to Naked Swim Fun Time. That's not funny. That's not funny. Little Red Cookbook. She, for about a 10-minute drive, I had to listen to, you screaming the Mary Sue isn't funny. I don't know why you do it. And I went, because it's funny to me. And she was like, only funny. And I was like, drove into oncoming traffic. Like, it's only funny to you. And I'm like, it doesn't have to be funny for anybody else. It makes me laugh. And she was like, Stu thinks that are funny for everybody. And I'm like, I'm Mark. Have we met?
I will not compromise my artistic integrity for you, woman.
I would say, if it makes you feel better, I've had people listen to the show and then they talk to me and they go, "Why do you put up with those two? They're so mean to you."
That is the point. And yet you keep coming back.
Yeah, I know.
People out there, you buy into kayfabe. That's all I can say.
Okay, so, and I hope
Well,
my
good way to
girlfriend
put
hears
it,
me
actually.
loud and clear. Rachel Tollison of the Mary Sue Robert Winfrey of the Screaming Boy podcast. While the original, she's gonna come running over here and fucking hit me with a steel chair. While the original,
Partner abuse on camera would just go over great.
I told she the other thing was she fucking complained recently. She was just like, you send me into exile whenever you do your podcast. So like, I didn't fucking exile you. You can come out if you want. You can't come out when I'm doing work, when I'm actually working, but like the podcast, I don't give a shit if you march around naked or whatever it is you're doing. And she's like, and like, if you want to mess with me while I'm on camera, I don't care. She's like, exile, and I'm like, the Mary Sue, and and that's just all we're just okay. Here we go.
Now you're just communicating in sound bites.
While the original installations weren't so much about the gore as they were about the mystery, Scream 7 does do a good job of marrying both.
No,
Not
it
a
doesn't.
chance.
Not even close.
It's like the mystery. It's like the gore is,
Tepid.
and the mystery is non-existent.
Unfulfilling.
Nick Johnston of Vanyaland. What's remarkable about it is how little it resembles a Scream film, despite bearing all of the aesthetics and hallmarks and characters. It is functionally pointless and anemic.
Not
Yes.
a little bit harsher than we were, but not entirely incorrect.
I like the use of the word anemic to describe a poorly directed slasher film. That is actually clever.
The
It's up
future Mr. Alexis Hana, Jordan Crocchiola of Pop Culture Happy Hour, an NPR broadcast. And we're still doing NPR? They didn't go away?
I just love it when you marry me off to people I've never even heard of. I didn't know that I was an Asian mail order bride.
I had a fun time. I think it's an entertaining slasher. I think it is a low tier, perhaps the lowest tier Scream movie.
You are a
Like, you rush
sucky
it from my
critic.
house.
You construct paragraphs like a 12-year-old.
Yeah, I was gonna. I've seen fourth grader book reports that had better structure than that.
That's why I married him to you, by the way. You're welcome. Speaking of Speaking of
Be
people, I mean,
very careful what you say next, Mark.
I was gonna say, speaking of people I mean to, Jeffrey Harris of 401media.com. It is the franchise's most underwhelming entry to date. Scream 7 once again proves that this franchise is out of gas, and Ghostface knife is rusty, dull, and bent. Oh, boo, Jeff, boo.
No, like that's among the better bits of writing he's done for that kind of a point. But in general, no. Again, I don't think this is the worst Scream movie, but it's maybe the least memorable. I still think 6 might have been worse as a movie.
I still say 3 is the worst,
And
but
yeah,
but you're
3
right.
and 4.
That's the thing. 3, you actually remember the characters. They were bad, but they were over the top, and you remember them.
Yeah.
Again, there's a reason I couldn't remember a single character's name aside from the returning characters and Tatum. They leave no impression.
Rendy Jones of Rendy Reviews. You either die a Scream movie or live long enough to see yourself become a stab. Boo.
You know what? No, I actually like that bit. That's not the meta reference of the meta reference there at the end is actually pretty solid.
Internet monster Doug Walker of Channel Awesome.
Real life monster Doug Walker.
A very standard by the number sequel, but given the creative kills and a few enjoyable performances, I had a decent enough time.
I am glad the jingling keys worked for you. Aren't you the nostalgia critic?
He doesn't review current movies as the nostalgia critic. He just I think he calls it the Untitled Review Show, and it's just him giving his honest opinion.
Wonderful. Oh boy. Rachel Wagner of Rachel Reviews YouTube. I enjoyed it enough, even if it is uneven with the scares. You know,
Good for you.
Trying to get access.
How do these people get fucking viewers and we don't, and we can't get on Rotten Tomatoes? That's what I want to
Because
know.
we've been going for 2 hours, and they do this in 15 minutes at most.
That's fair.
We've actually had a decent amount of viewers tonight.
Sarah Michelle Fetters of MovieFreak.com. Maybe after 30 years of success, it's finally time to pull the plug and let Sidney Prescott be. Here, Sarah. I've never agreed with you more.
That's fairly true. Again, I think this is mostly out of gas, and we're probably about ready to just kind of be done with this. But of course, we're going to get more because they're going to go until they literally step on a landmine.
They think Robert's mean to you too, your friends? Like, I get that I'm mean to you, but I'm going out of my way to be mean.
Oh yeah, they think you're both assholes.
Look at that, Robert. As nice as you are to Alexis, as many times as you've gotten in between Alexis and me, because you think I'm too rough with her, and then you are getting lumped into the asshole pile. Look at that. See? No good deed goes unpunished, Robert. What do you think?
See, what's hilarious though is that I need to have them listen more to the shows where Robert and I do reviews without you, Mark, because Robert and I have a good repertoire where we go back and forth without you, deciding to be shitty to me.
Speaking of deciding to be shitty,
Mark is Tully Blanchard. He's the instigator.
Speaking of purposely shitty, Travis Hobson of Bunch Drunk Critics. The lazy attempt to continue on is like one of the Ghostface victims, stabbed in the gut and bleeding out, crawling to a safety they'll never reach.
That's a decent enough little visual you concocted there, sir.
Normally I end with him, but I'm trying to find one of our wives and lovers here.
Well, you passed one of my other husbands a while back.
That's true.
Yeah, but he didn't say anything worth making fun of. And making fun of you, I consider to be an art form. So,
Jerry Johns actually had a really funny bit when he talked about going to see Wuthering Heights. He talked about there's a scene, I guess, where Jacob Elordi picks up Margot Robbie one-handed by her corset, just kind of grabs her and lifts her up to kiss. And he said, "Watch that scene." All of a sudden, it was like, "Can we get a dehumidifier for this theater, please?" Speaking of
dehumidifiers, the ex Mrs. Alexis Hana, Grace Randolph of Beyond the Trailer. So, not the best Scream movie, but it's not the worst either. And while the third act is awful, the first 2/3 of it are so fun and scary, it's still a good popcorn flick. Campbell and Cox still got it, while McHale and Lillard are a treat.
How is Joel McHale a treat in this movie?
She's too big of a Community fan to admit that he was improperly cast.
All right, now I found the person.
Okay, Alexis, when you two were married, you did not beat her enough. Also, she's getting raked over the coals again for not understanding that Tourette's is involuntary.
Oh God, she made a comment about the BAFTAs, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
Sweet Jesus.
And then, of course, all the rich black millionaires made fun of that poor guy as well at the awards show that they had, because involuntary neurological conditions are totally just a mask for white racism.
Speaking of white racism, Carl LaHaye of Culture Mix.
This is why we broke up.
One of Robert's many ex-wives. With Scream 7, this franchise invites ridicule, but in a way where people are more likely to groan than laugh. The welcome return of the Sidney Prescott character is surrounded by a bunch of recycled ideas and plot holes.
Not so many plot holes as just... There's a world of difference between a genuine plot hole and just bad writing.
I was going to say that it's not a plot hole if it's just the writing goes nowhere.
Plot hole has become shorthand for this didn't make sense to me.
I know, and I kind of hate it.
Yeah. Like I said, it's like that's not a plot hole. That's called the writers didn't think this through.
Yeah, plot holes are genuine gaps in plot, execution, and logic. And this, to its credit, does not have a lot of genuine plot holes.
Well, speaking of does not have a lot of genuine plot, this podcast is now over. Alexis Hana.
This podcast is under.
I don't even have sports on tonight. I am taking a hiatus from betting.
You should. It's not good for you.
And the NBA because it was giving me fucking agita.
The NBA sucks. You shouldn't watch it.
You're not kidding. So yesterday, myself and Jesse, what a lovely podcast. It didn't raise my blood pressure at all. We did a source material. We did Batman, Bruce Wayne Murderer, and then we made a song about it because called Peking Duck Batman.
If you've not heard this song, Alexis, it is a combination of like swing, funk, 60s rock in the style of like a TV show theme. It's kind of wild, but
and this is because
stupidly catchy.
There's like a man bat character at the end of Batman Murder, and I just kept referring because he's Chinese. Because I'm racist. I kept referring to him as Peking Duck Batman, and because Jesse thinks I'm fucking hilarious, he ran with it, and then he started calling him Peking Duck Batman, and then we made a song about it because that's what we do. And thank you to our AI overlords for that. This Thursday, hey, if you enjoyed my subtle beating up of Alexis Hana, she'll be back with us again on Thursday as we do our Oscar nomination show. I finally saw The Secret Agent. Oy.
I appreciate the acting by the lead actor. That's actually good.
Yeah.
The movie itself is not that good.
No, the whole time I kept thinking to myself,
it's slow, it's pretentious, it's preachy.
I was like, there has to be like, well, we got to find one foreign film. What's the longest meandering one we can find? The Secret Agent. Oh, good. Yeah, we'll put that on the nomination list because God forbid we put an interesting movie there.
Yeah, it's not good.
This is the worst time of the year because we got to cram all of these movies. I've seen at least half of the Best Picture nominees. I still have like 5 more movies I got to watch this week, and every year it's like, and I'm watching pretentious, depressing bullshit for a week straight, and now I want to go put a bullet in my head.
You should join some of the podcasts that we do, and we took care of. Robert and I took care of all these already.
The problem is that
we did 8 out of 10 of these by the time when they nominated them.
Well, that's the problem. Is I try to watch a handful that I think are going to get nominated, and then I have lousy choices because the only ones I got right.
You bet as well as I do.
Pretty much. I think the only one that I bet that I got right was One Battle After the Other and Marty Supreme. Because I did see Marty Supreme. And I'm sorry, guys, but I'm standing by this. I got 20 minutes into One Battle After Another, and I abandoned ship.
I wish I could have.
I'm sorry. I will not have anything to say about it.
I envy you your ignorance of that pile of crap.
There's never going to be a time where I'm going to be mad that you have nothing to say. However, I am really surprised. Take that, Alexis's friends. I'm not petty at all.
Mark's passive aggressiveness coming out of people he doesn't know and is only interacting with via him yelling at them one way.
Show up in Missouri one day. Come on, motherfucker! I'll fight anybody.
for half a round before my lungs give out.
Yeah. Someone
Mark,
get me
you are
to a
turning so red.
Someone get me to a naked swimming hole quick. It's Missouri in the winter. Anyway.
That does not lower the number in your immediate vicinity if you're
Yeah, sure.
trying to go naked swimming.
I'm
in Missouri.
actually legit surprised. We'll talk more about this on Thursday, but I am no making fun of you at all. I am legitimately surprised you did not like fawn all over one battle after another. I'm shocked. Because the reason why, because all the pretentious liberals love that movie.
Well, that's the problem. I hang out with you two too much. Okay, I am my liberalism doesn't die, but my bullshit meter for pretentiousness can only take so much from hanging out with you two.
Hey, you know what? That's a good thing. Like the more you can detect that kind of obnoxious pretension in your media consumption, the better off you'll be.
Yeah, well,
because if you can discern the stuff that they think you're going to go along with just because you share a political alignment, and you can now go pretentious bullshit, that's a good place to be. I'm happy that you got there.
We cured Alexis. Chris Owens is next. We gotta fix him too.
Seriously, the moment that I abandoned ship is the scene where Leonardo DiCaprio, I think he's buying diapers, and Sean Penn says, "I like black girls." I was like, "Nope, done, out."
Fucking
and I love Sean Penn and I love Leonardo DiCaprio. Okay, they're both two of the greatest actors ever.
All right, so
it doesn't help that director fetishizes black women and frames them constantly in that movie.
Speaking of fetishes, next week we'll be doing the new Pixar movie Hoppers. It'll be this.
Oh yeah, and bear in mind, Mark didn't use fetish as a transition there willy nilly. The furries are going to be out.
And then Alexis is reviewing A Night of Seven Kingdoms on Tuesday.
That was supposed to be tomorrow, but my co-collaborator, Mr. Andrew Roscoe, forgot he was supposed to watch the show because the new Resident Evil game came out and took his attention all this past weekend.
From tonight,
apparently it's a good show.
Robert,
I've heard.
Poor Robert. Robert always gets abused, and I make plans with him, and then I was like, well, something better came along, so I'm going to boot this 6 months, 6 years, whatever tickles my fancy. And there's Robert in his pink dress and his lolly, just waiting for me, like, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. And so,
Robert
having said all that,
terrible in pink. At least pick a flattering color.
That's your takeaway.
True.
And so finally, we are doing our much.
I can do like salmon. Salmon I can pull off, but actual pink, no.
No, not with your skin tone.
I'm about to cancel it again. Roland Emmerich focus.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
We're going to be looking at The Day After Tomorrow, 2012, and The Patriot. I got asked by Pat and Gavin what the connection there was, and I was like, it's not fucking obvious. Like they didn't understand why we picked The Patriot, and it was like because we've done a lot of the other Roland Emmerich disaster stuff, so that's the three we picked.
So this review is largely an excuse for me to talk about the bizarre career trajectory of Roland Emmerich, because I've very rarely seen someone start as solid as he did and then so rapidly fall off the edge of the world.
I was going to say, who do you think fell faster, Roland Emmerich or M. Night Shyamalan?
Michael Bay.
Michael Bay I can't say never had a peak. Damn you.
He was making billion-dollar movies at one point. And now look
at
him.
Yeah,
they did to my boy.
Yeah, actually, but Michael Bay's movies are 90% such deep-fried ass. I don't care about the box office return.
It's scary when you actually look at what Michael Bay did before he made movies. You realize there is a fuck ton of talent there. His commercials you want to know how popular he is? That man created the Got Milk campaign. The very first Got Milk commercial was his.
Thank you, Alexis, for that comment on Michael Bay. Why don't you do your plugs now?
I never got an answer out of Robert, though. Roland Emmerich or M. Night Shyamalan?
Robert doesn't answer questions. He hems and haws and dialogues for an hour.
Hang on. Look, because I consider my answers instead of just plowing forward with my eyes closed, going, it'll turn out okay.
We're film snobs, and I'm genuinely curious what he thinks.
Pray for the day you plow.
You just had to make it weird.
Yes, sir.
You just had to make it weird.
I just want to end this podcast, so yeah.
Fell off faster? Probably Emmerich. Emmerich, because about his
Really?
third movie is when he falls off. And I think Shyamalan, you've got 4. The Lady in the Water is not as bad as people make it out to be.
Well, his fourth movie was The Village.
I know, and I'm actually I don't hate The Village either. Like, it's
I
don't
didn't
get me
either.
wrong, it's got so he's got there's a little bit of a longer tail with Shyamalan before all the cracks fully materialize. Once Emmerich falls in love with giant spectacle, he never looks back, to his detriment.
Well, wasn't his third film, his third big film was Godzilla, wasn't it?
I think so.
Because it was Stargate.
I don't know. We'll find out a week from
Independence Day.
Thursday. Can you please do your plugs now?
You stuck a couple of film nerds here. What did you expect? Okay, so yes, we'll be talking Hoppers and A Night of the Seven Kingdoms next week. We're going to be talking The Bride after that, and the day after that, that is St. Patrick's Day. Robert and I are going to be back talking Undertone. So we're going to have some fun with another
Good luck with that one.
low-budget horror film. Robert, you still up for that, right?
We're gonna review it on St. Patrick's Day.
That's what I had scheduled. Are you busy St. Patrick's Day? Because I refuse to believe you're going out and getting drunk. I know you.
I got family and we do get-togethers.
Guys, work it out later.
Okay.
Yeah,
fine.
we may have to change date on that one. So.
Okay.
But I'm still down for the review.
Okay, groovy. Well, I'll take a look at the calendar.
No, don't say groovy. I'll be depressed.
And as far as the actual plugs, Honeysuckle Rose Creations for fashion meets fandom at the intersection of geek and chic. The off season is almost over. I can finally leave my house, thank God, because we got Planet Comic-Con coming up at the end of this month. And hey, if you are a Scream fan, be sure to head out to Kansas City at the end of March because Matthew Lillard is one of our guests. He's come the last few years. He is awesome. I still remember, I think it was Friday night, packing up my table, getting ready to go. And I have to walk past the celebrity row to get to the parking lot where all the vendors are. And there is a huge crowd still waiting in line. And I'm like, well, what the hell? And it's Matthew Lillard's group. He still has dozens upon dozens of fans waiting for him. And he's openly said, I'm not going until I, take care of all of this. If they want to wait, I will stay here. I sent out a message around 1 a.m. that night. So can someone check it to make sure Matthew Lillard is still alive? So apparently he is just an awesome dude. And that's part of the other reason why I love seeing him in this movie so much. So if you're a Scream fan, come on out. If you're a horror fan in general, come on out. We're also getting legends like Keith David and Jeffrey Combs are going to be coming. So looking forward to that. We will have
Herbert West.
I'll have my booth out there with all of our stuff. Of course, you can always follow us on Etsy and Handmade at Amazon. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, fuck you, Twitter, and TikTok. Again, that's Honeysuckle Rose Creations, the intersection of geek and chic.
All right, Robert, make it snappy.
All right, Mark referenced it, but we'll do a little bit of a dive into the filmography and career of Roland Emmerich, the good, the bad, and the otherwise. There's a lot of otherwise. But I have a soft spot for some of his films in a way that I can't fully explain, but I'll try to articulate, and Mark can make fun of me for.
I think it's because we grew up with those when we were at the right age for that kind of a demographic to appeal.
Probably. I mean, if nothing else, Independence Day is still endlessly rewatchable.
Oh, and Independence Day is fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll be on the lookout for that. I cover mixed martial arts and professional wrestling over at 411mania.com, WWE SmackDown on Fridays, UFC events on Saturdays. There was UFC Fight Night Moreno versus Kavanaugh on Saturday. It was all right. Not great. This Saturday is UFC 326, headlined by the rematch between Max Holloway and Charles Oliveira. That'll be gangbusters. The rest of the card's a bit iffier, but we're not getting like a full-on killer card until 327 in Miami in April. So just kind of is what it is with the way the UFC scheduled things out at the end of the last year that led into the beginning of this one. And some of their marquee fighters being unavailable for reasons. Some understandable, some not. And if you want more details on that, I host the 411 Ground and Pound MMA podcast, which goes live. I've been trying to do it at midnight Eastern. Lately, it's been more like 2 a.m. Eastern because that's midnight my time. You can find that over on the 411 Wrestling and Entertainment YouTube channel. I do that, again, pretty much every Saturday or Sunday evening / Monday morning. So give that a listen if you're so inclined. I review fights, I preview upcoming cards, I talk news, anything about the wide, wacky, wonderful world of mixed martial arts. And yeah, next week, Mark and I are we'll figure out hoppers and all
right.
the self-referential stuff they do.
All right, folks. Thank you for joining us at our
before
Domestic
we
Violence
close-
Anonymous meeting. I'm sorry,
Hang
go
on,
ahead.
before we close. On behalf of everyone here, let's just all join in wishing that Bruce Campbell kicks cancer's ass.
Hell yes.
Okay. Well, I had a joke there about beating up Alexis, but now I feel shitty about it, so never mind. Thank you, Robert, for taking the 1 ounce of joy I had.
I try to do something nice, and you say that now I am the thief of joy. So
Don't worry, you can beat the crap out of me next week for hoppers.
No, I can do it Thursday too.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
For Alexis, for
you
Robert,
weren't expecting the Thursday beating, like the Spanish Inquisition. No one sees it coming midweek.
I would like to get out of this podcast so my girlfriend doesn't yell at me. Be well, be safe, and behave.